fried. Deep fat fried. Deep fat fried. Deep fat fried.
Deep fat fried. Oh,
Whoa.
yeah.
What was that outburst, TJ? Can you restrain yourself, please? Can you restrain yourself, TJ? Can you contain yourself, please, TJ? We're in public. We're in public.
Are we in public?
Yes.
We're in public?
This is publicly well, I mean, I guess it's not, huh?
It's not. It's not.
I guess we're in private.
We're in private, but still, you're publicly private.
Shit.
TJ, I made a vow last night, dude.
Good.
If I fucking roll a D20, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you.
No.
You roll a natural 20?
A natural 20.
Those are my dice.
The
You can't
fucking
roll those.
the fates
You're not allowed to
decide,
roll
TJ.
those.
The fates decide.
He's
You're
putting
not
his
even
luck
allowed
all
to
over your
roll
dice.
those.
Oh, it's close. You got off today, TJ. 18.
Damn. You are 2 away from getting the piss
Two.
smacked out
I'm
of
gonna
you.
have to fucking wash those dice now and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you got to do like a whole ritual over
I got
them.
Scotty's bad luck all over my
16.
dice now.
It's your bad leaving them laying around where anybody can grab them.
Yeah, I gotta put them in my safe.
You should protect your dice.
I guess so.
Your luck is in that bag, TJ.
I know.
And you're
Why would you wash off good luck? I rolled an 18.
Yeah, but that's you. Gross.
So what you roll, bitch?
Yeah, you
Well,
were
I mean,
rolling
it'll be-
against him, and you
Yeah,
rolled high.
It'll be a piece of shit now, so
Here you go.
So now that
roll,
Scotty's
yeah.
luck,
this will prove I'm gonna roll probably a nat 1 because of the bad
Oh,
luck
a nat
that you
1?
tainted
Yeah,
on
let's see.
us. It was actually a 20. Keep fiddling with my dice.
Yeah, bitch. Exactly. You know what, TJ?
I actually rolled a nat 20, so keep fucking with them dice.
wow.
You're my good luck charm, Scotty.
Damn. TJ's got like a gigantic pair of lottery tickets with like 80 numbers apiece on them.
I do. I have
Like
you.
an absurd thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're gonna win this time.
How much you
I
drop,
know.
TJ?
This is the time. 40.
He went down, put $40 on the lotto.
This is the time. This is the place.
Dude, TJ might win. We got a butter TJ. You're looking. You're
I
looking,
mean,
you're looking a little thinner today.
There's
TJ?
a pretty solid chance I'm going to win, you guys. Let's see what the odds are. I'm pretty sure the odds are in my
1
favor.
in 90 million billions.
I mean,
Odds of
it might be strange to say this, but does TJ look a little bit taller?
Millions.
Look a bit more filled out lately.
So yeah, look, I got a pretty good chance, dude.
Yeah.
1 in 292,201,338.
Guaranteed to win.
But
It's
you bought like
practically
40
guaranteed.
numbers, right?
Yeah, so I mean that means I got 40 in that number.
you'd have
right?
to divide
Is that how
it
that
down.
works? I don't know how that works.
You'd have to divide it. I don't do division, so don't ask me to do it.
Yeah, I don't do any math.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. I could do it for you.
The only
real quick.
math I do is
I can
that
find out
I
what your
want money.
actual. Wait a minute. I don't think we're doing that right, though. I don't think buying multiple numbers
It doesn't.
increases your chances.
Oh, well,
So-
the chances of each one of them is still 1 in that
Right.
number. So, I mean,
Correct.
I think it does. I mean, there has to be somewhere where it kind of increases it, but whatever it is so negligible. It's like
It doesn't matter.
doesn't really matter.
I mean, like maybe it would increase if you bought like 10,000 tickets or something.
I mean, there'd be like an overall.
What if you bought
increase.
10 billion tickets, huh?
Ah,
I bet you'd win.
you probably would win at that point.
You'd also spend more money than you won.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
but still,
Probably someone in our audience who actually knows math is like going like, oh, they're so stupid. That's not how probability works, you
I
morons.
hate math people because they're always so disdainful of you when
Actually-
you
It's
tell
like,
them
hey,
you have like a
I don't
second grade
fucking,
concept
yeah,
of
it's
math.
like I don't come up to you and like fucking shit on whatever you don't know shit about when you start talking because I guarantee you might know a lot about math, but actually I
I
probably
bet you
would.
do though.
Yeah, I
bet
probably
it's a-
would,
I bet
so,
it's
yeah.
a lot of the math nerds that can't spell and can't fucking.
Yeah, it's like your grammar is atrocious. You're a bunch of simpleton.
Then they're like, you can't do simple division. You are but a simpleton as well.
I shoot you in the face.
can you actually do basic math, TJ?
Yeah, I mean I could do some basic.
What's
Like,
uh,
what's the highest level of math problem you think you could solve?
Fuck, I don't know. That's a good question.
Like, just with no help. You got to do it on paper.
How about
Right.
TJ? How about you go to an algebra 1 quiz? Let's see if you can do the first.
Algebra 1 quiz.
Oh, I could tell you right now, I can't do algebra.
Let's see if you can do the first, like
Algebra
a multiple choice
one.
one. Multiple choice, TJ. See if you can
Practice
do,
test. All right.
let's see if you can do a first one.
Hold on. Algebra 1 practice test. I got it.
All right, cool.
Varsity tutors. Okay. So let's see. Algebra 1 diagnostic test.
Well, you
whatever.
get to use a fucking calculator and shit for algebra, though, don't
Do
you?
I?
Hey, this computer has a calculator.
No. Let me start the test. Okay. So I can just see by looking at this that there's no possible way I could ever solve this in a million years.
Put it up on here. I'll see if I could even make high.
I don't even know what the
Heads
fuck
or
I'm
tails of
looking
it.
at.
It's like, it's letter problems. A equals 15 minus 13. Solve for A, I get it. Put it up here. Let me look. Let me take a look.
Oh, right.
Paul wants to take a stab at it.
No, this
Holy fuck, what is this? The fuck is this? This isn't what?
So negative 2p squared over 3yc divided by 9lp squared over 5xy.
clearly the answer is 5/9.
Okay.
So there's 60 questions. I guess I don't really have
It's
any way
a
to
simple.
fact check that.
And this
so.
wouldn't simplify this.
We're not going to do all 50 of these fucking
We
things.
just gotta do 60. No. The point is, I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
doing.
know what I'm looking at either. I think I
Don't
could
know
probably
what you're looking
do.
at when you're looking
I
here.
could probably do multiplication. I could probably do like basic.
I know how to
division.
do, like add, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, basic algebra. That's nothing like what I just
Right.
saw.
I know how to do
What
like
about
what I
percentages?
said, like A equals, or no. I don't know. Fuck it. I don't even know that. I don't even know anything about. You know what? Algebra is something I purged from my fucking memory
What's
banks a long time ago.
30% of 240, TJ?
30% of 240.
Yep.
60 something. Yeah,
Good
Yeah.
guess.
60 something, bro.
You took a good stab at it.
72.
72. Close enough. Close enough.
It was in the
Scotty.
ballpark.
Yeah.
It's
And that
6B.
after all is what mathematics is about. It's about getting
It's
in
just
the
about,
ballpark.
it's not about precision. It's about just like, I'm close enough.
That's actually not what it's about.
That's what it's all
Ballpark
about.
it.
That's what
Eyeball
it's
it.
all about, Scotty.
That's always been my thing. Eyeball it.
eyeball
You know what I mean?
that shit. Just kind of look
Eyeball
at it and be
the
like,
math.
Eyeball it.
7 plus 7, I don't know, 50.
Eyeball
Good
it.
enough. Good enough.
Close enough. Whatever it is
How-
close enough to my number that it doesn't matter.
I want to make some deals with you guys, man. That sounds great, dude.
No, I pretty much,
Kid, we're
just,
going to pay you.
I do
it's gonna
round
be
up,
close.
though. I do round up. I'm just letting you
All
know
right.
that. I round
Right.
up.
yeah, me too. I round way
TJ
up.
and Paul, I'm paying you both a McDonald's gift cards this month.
Oh, I round up. I want McDonald's
$500
and
each.
I want McDonald's
I want a
and
Ruth's,
Arby's.
I want a Ruth's Chris
You guys strive.
gift card.
Oh, wow.
strike a hard
TJ's really
bargain,
rounding
dude.
up.
I'm rounding way up.
Wow. 500 for you, TJ, and 500 for Paul, and then 500 for Arby's and 500 for Ruth Chris, dude.
Yeah.
You guys are good.
So,
Yeah.
TJ, can you put yourself full screen for a second for me, please?
Yes.
For tonight, we're going to talk about failure.
2019,
Good old
TJ.
failure.
You know what, TJ? Before Paul begins, I just want to say something. Don't you fucking start trolling this episode. Don't you start interrupting Paul a bunch.
Yeah. Can we get a 2011 TJ for this episode? Can you reach deep in your soul and pull out 2011 TJ, or are we going to get 2019 TJ?
I'm actually starting to work on 2020 TJ now.
Oh, God.
So,
fuck,
yeah.
dude.
What kind of monstrosity is that looking shaping up to be?
I took all the worst aspects of 2019 TJ.
Okay.
And I exaggerated them
Oh,
even
no.
further.
Oh,
And then
no.
I took whatever semblance of 2011 TJ
fuck,
remained,
dude. It's gonna be a hard
excised
episode.
that entirely.
You just removed it
purged
completely.
it. The last vestiges of what was good is gone. It's going to
man.
be absolute ass. It's going to be
Shit.
fucking tremendously awful.
Wow.
So,
What's
yeah.
the name of your book, TJ? Absolute Ass by TJ.
That would be a cool book title.
Absolute ass, yeah.
We should just do every show just on me, and you guys can just be like the voices in my head. I could just like put like a little Paul devil on one shoulder and a little Scotty devil on the other shoulder, and you could be the voices.
Eat
in my
healthy,
ears.
TJ.
No, I said devil. You're both devils.
Do
There's
I
no
have
I'm an
a
angel, dude.
do I have a poker? If I'm a devil?
Sure, yeah.
All right, then I'm going to stab you in the fucking head with it repeatedly for the show. How do you
No,
feel about
you're
that?
not.
Yeah,
No,
I am.
you're not.
Yeah, so what are you going to tell the devil what he can't and can't do?
Give the devil
Yes.
his due, TJ.
I'm not going to? Oh, okay.
No, you're not
All
gonna.
right, we'll see what happens.
You're not going to do it.
Let's do it. I like this idea for
You're
a show.
not gonna
So I'm
do it.
I'm a little devil that can torment you for eternity, scream in your ear at night when you're trying to sleep.
You're not supposed to torment me. You're supposed to tempt me.
Well, I mean, you don't tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Dude, let
I'm
me-
the devil.
You're not the devil. You're
Dude, tempting
a devil.
TJ will be nothing.
I'm the devil, dude.
Dude, tempting
a
you would be an
devil.
easy
Who are you
job.
to say different, TJ? Who are you to say different?
TJ sees a fucking Twinkie. Should I eat it? Yes. Pop up. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Turns out it's got a dog turd in the middle instead of cream filling. Damn you, Paul!
I don't like where you've gone with this.
Dude, I like Paul's devil.
Anyway, we're going to hear talk about failure, so.
So let's talk very briefly about this gentleman, if you'll put his picture up. This is Clement Ader.
Clement Ader.
He was a French inventor. He actually was probably most well known for improving upon Alexander Graham Bell's telephone design.
Cool.
He was a telephone guy. He was an inventor.
So that's not a failure, Paul. You lied.
No, well, just you have to listen, TJ.
He's
because
not a failure, Paul.
There is a dark spot in the
really?
history of Sir.
Really?
Why, I don't think he is a Sir. Just Mr. Clement Ader.
He
here.
should be a sir. I mean, look at that mustache. What an regal gentleman.
So he had a dream, and it was a dream that was shared by a lot of men of his time.
Oh, shit. I forgot.
What?
I'm supposed to play the official music of our show.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
What is this?
This is the, me and Scotty were talking yesterday after you left,
Uh-huh.
and we decided to
polka polka.
kind of liven the show up with some polka.
Yeah, people said it was too slow. So
Some polka?
Yeah.
I
Well, we
can't do
figured-
that. I can't work in these conditions.
No, we figured what's the least offensive genre of music that
this
everybody
is not.
likes.
This is not it.
That everybody likes.
Nobody likes polka.
Nobody likes. Everyone likes polka.
No, they really don't.
I mean, hold on. Let's just check.
Polka your eyes out.
Looks like I'm enjoying it. Let's see if Scotty's enjoying it. All right, let's see if you're enjoying it.
aha!
I see a slight
Yeah!
grin there. All right.
Everyone knows polka.
I'm
Nice
sorry.
polka. No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay. It's okay.
Back to this regal
Back
gentleman.
to
Yes,
the
back
great
to- back to
Clement Ader.
So he had a dream that a lot of men shared for a very long time before him, a dream that man could fly. Oh. He wanted to build a machine that would help man to fly. So his work on his first powered aircraft began in 1882 and was continued for 8 long years. On August 11th, 1890, Adair was granted a patent covering the essentials of the steam-propelled tailless monoplane that he named Iole. I think I pulled a picture of it. Yeah, this was it.
Whoa.
He built this. It was named Iole after
Why are the propellers leaves?
the Greek god of the winds. Well, you have to understand. We didn't understand they're feathers. They look like
They're
feathers.
feathers? Okay.
I mean, look at it.
So he's trying to model them after feathers.
Right.
Like birds fly with feathers.
And the
So too shall I.
the machine itself looks like a bat. It's bat. It's got that bat wing kind of design to it.
I mean, and it's got like sled wheels, or not even wheels, like just sled.
Right, because it was.
What are those called?
Yeah, just skids.
Skids, yeah.
So he tested this thing. He built it. He sat in it, and he tested it. And on October 9th, 1890, he achieved a powered hop of about 50 meters, which is 165 feet, through the air. He was incapable of either sustained or controlled flight, but he got some props within the burgeoning aviation community for having hopped for a decent amount. But he wasn't satisfied with that. It wasn't true flight. So he went back to the drawing board and eventually came up with this bad boy, the next picture here. The Avion 2. Which was as you can see, dual propeller version of the Batwing glider model.
Yeah, this one has wheels.
Yes,
So
it has
that's the
wheels, which is another upgrade.
This looks like a piece of shit. It's like such a piece of shit,
yes.
dude. It,
Well, no one had any idea.
it looks
how to
like the
fly at that
Pinto
time.
of fucking airplanes.
We have to remember too that they didn't have any knowledge about how to overcome that
Right.
like the thrust and the lift that you need to fly.
So did this monstrosity actually do anything?
Well, the military was very interested in this because his first
Well,
one had
obviously,
hopped
yeah.
a little while, and so they started paying him to develop this machine. And
taxpayer dollars well spent.
he took it to a circular track on October 12th and 14th of 1897. There were military officials there, and their report noted that the machine did not fly, but recommended the test continue. Officials of the Ministry of War, however, decided that they had seen enough and refused to fund further tests. Clement went on to claim that the machine had flown an astounding 100 meters that day, but there's not a single person that was there that would corroborate that story. In fact, the only story that I was able to find about it was that it looked like it was about to take off and then crashed.
That looks. I mean, like from what I'm seeing here, and what we've already proven that.
And this is 15
I don't know anything
years
about
in.
math or engineering or machinery, but from what I see here, I'm not doubtful of that story.
Right.
This
I've
literally
got
just looks like a pile of fucking garbage.
And I've got a video that we can take a look at. It's got no sound. It's all silent footage. And I thought we could talk a little bit about tonight's topic while watching said video.
Okay. Yeah, let me just go ahead and pull that up.
We don't have to watch the whole thing, but it is 7 minutes of failed aviation attempts, failed designs for planes. And
All right, so here's a plane. They're trying. I mean, it looks like it's doing something. Oh no,
it's nose diving into the ground is what it's doing.
couldn't quite.
Probably killing
that
the
off.
person flying it.
I mean, maybe.
The quest for like the perfect airplane went on and on for now. This is
that looks like
barnstorming. This
it
is
looks
not
like they intentionally
right.
crashed into a barn.
Right.
So okay, now this is
here's
okay.
an
The
example.
flapping thing, yeah.
Yeah. Failure is a ladder
Right.
to success. Often. It's not always, but often. And in the case of aviation, which is, man trying to conquer the skies, become a creature that is capable of flying, all these failures...
I'm sure glad that Thunderfoot didn't exist in these times.
Oh, I know.
To shit on the very concept of the airplane.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And the Wright brothers continue their silly pursuit of man growing wings like a bird. And look at their latest attempt. Spectacular failure, as predicted.
Have they not forgotten the story of Icarus, those who fly too high?
That's a good thing to bring up, though, because it has been my biggest kind of gripe with Thunderfoot in his more recent kind of turn on YouTube, which is the debunker of new technologies. Now, he's been right a lot of times. There's been some scams out there.
I watched one
exposed.
the other day where he was exposing this like clearly bullshit product that was like this this tumble dryer that was supposed to dry things in a vacuum, and he just pointed out that there's no way that with their shoddy design,
just
you
keep
could
playing
actually
it.
get a true
Just
vacuum.
keep playing this
yeah,
shit, TJ.
That's true.
Yeah.
You could actually. He said basically, there's no way you could actually get a true vacuum in this thing, and it claimed it was heating with infrared, and it clearly wasn't, and it claimed that it was venting shit into the environment, which would have mean there's no way you could have a vacuum seal if it's open to the air of the environment and open to the water. Like the water has to go somewhere. So.
Right.
Well, if you guys recall with him,
And
oh my
he
God,
was
look
talking
at
about how
this
it made like
glass.
$500,000 on Kickstarter from idiots. Oh, and also that it was like, I mean, it was basically just a hair dryer and a tumbler that somehow they convinced with some
I'm
space
telling
age
you,
technology.
People really need they need to regulate that space more heavily, because now there's all these little startup companies that are like, oh, we're going to invent this product that's going to deal with this thing, and it's like no one's vetted anything they've done. They haven't actually.
But these people literally did the same thing. A lot of these planes were built with benefactors' money on promises that they could create the first flying machine. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
and,
the scam that is being run today with these products that aren't getting off the ground is not a new one. And in this case, these, like I said, these dudes' failures, however insignificant they may have been on the time, were a small rung on the ladder to actual sustained flight for human beings. So that's really kind of how I wanted to open tonight's episode, which is an examination of failure.
Failure.
And I thought that
Beautiful failure.
I thought that we could start by just kind of like defining it. Defining the word failure. And it's one of those words that's more complex than you'd expect it to be.
The condition or fact of not achieving the desired end or ends.
Right. So that is just failure as a concept. You
One
had a
that
concept, you
fails.
failed.
That's like the noun of like you are a failure.
Right.
So.
And that's an interesting thing that I didn't think about before I started doing this. You can actually be a failure.
Right.
Right?
That means basically like, none of your life plans have worked out.
Oh, I mean, look at Clement. We were talking about a minute ago. I mean, 15 years of his life spent trying to create a working airplane.
And spectacularly failing, and then getting to the end.
And in front of a huge audience,
right,
too.
and having the hubris to not be able to admit it and to try and, falsify it down the line and say he actually achieved something he didn't. So you can see that failure can affect people very negatively. It can cause people to become delusional and self-aggrandizing.
The condition or fact of being insufficient or falling short.
Right. So that's another way you can be a failure.
A cessation of proper functioning or performance. So like that'd be like if
Failure
something
of an organ.
Your
Yeah.
engine,
Or if something is working, like
your engine failed.
organ, stuff like that. So something's working fine, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just fucked.
I mean, TJ's
Right.
brain has failed for quite a while.
Right,
so,
exactly.
yeah.
Non-performance of what is requested or expected. Omission.
So this is like a failure to appear in court, or a failure
Right.
to fill out your paperwork
Or
properly.
erectile dysfunction.
A failure to admit all the facts.
Well, I think that would be more in line with the one above it.
No,
The act.
mind, TJ, it's fine.
You fail, Scotty. You fail.
I failed. There you
The
go.
act or fact of failing to pass a course. So
this is like pass,
failing
fail.
a test.
So
Right.
TJ after 5th grade.
Right.
Yeah, TJ pretty much his entire academic quote unquote career. A decline in strength or effectiveness.
So this is like your health is failing.
right. Oh
Right.
yeah.
So like if someone's health is failing or something is failing, it used to be strong, but it's now seeing a decline.
Right. The act or fact of becoming bankrupt or
So
insolvent.
financial failure.
Right. So a bank failing.
So there we go.
So
Some definitions
a
of
complex
failure.
word, and I tried to find examples throughout human history and throughout human kind's many endeavors.
Yeah, and
of-
you tried to pick examples that were not quite
Right.
super obvious. Like, I think one of the first things we thought about was the Titanic.
Right, and I
because-
started pulling stuff like the Titanic, the Hindenburg, things that I'd heard a lot about, but I was
Right,
like,
but you're like, people already know about this.
yeah,
shit.
there's such a rich, history of failure in humanity. Why go over things people have likely heard of? Let's cover some more obscure but equally funny and hilarious and tragic examples of failure in human history, starting with the overarching umbrella of war. War has been a host to a lot of failures.
War never changes.
Failure never changes.
Thank you, Ron Perlman.
Yep.
Ron Perlman.
And here's something that we could probably do a whole fucking episode on, but
Before you get started, can
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have a brief digression about Ron Perlman?
Oh, please do.
This is really quick. I was watching, and apparently no one has even watched this special because there's almost no reviews for it on Amazon Prime, and there's almost no reviews for it even on Letterboxd or anywhere I've gone. Like it seems like almost
Yeah.
no one has actually watched this special. But there's a new David Cross special that he put out, I guess, on your birthday, Paul.
Yeah.
On April 1st.
I heard about I've seen it, but I haven't watched it like everybody else, I guess.
I mean, yeah, no one. It seems like no one gives a shit. Like he just doesn't command. No one. I mean, like I
He
don't
doesn't
know.
have the same star power
He
used to.
filled an audience full of people. So I mean, people are still going to his
mean,
live
he's-
shit,
he's
but
a-
no one cares to watch.
He's
but
a
whatever.
great touring comedian, but yeah, he's not.
But whatever. But anyway, I was kind of, even though I didn't think the special overall was that good, it had to have been one of the ballsiest things I've seen in a special because, like, you remember how conservatives got super pissed when Kathy Griffin held up that decapitated like Trump head?
yeah, dude, they're fucking palpitating.
Yes.
The last 20 minutes or so, discounting the encore of David Cross's performance, was basically just a series of describing ways that Trump should die.
Oh,
And,
really?
Yes, it
Wow.
was just like explicit, like here's how he could die, and here's how he could die, and here's how he could die. Just
Was there any how does he
and then then he said that then he went and digressed into this fantasy about Ron Perlman running against Trump, and then as soon as the debates start, Ron Perlman goes up to Trump and just starts beating the shit out of him.
and then he's like, I win.
And no, well, he beats the shit out of him, and then they pull him off, but then they're like, well, the debate has to continue. So then they ask him another question. Then Ron Perlman beats the shit out of him again to the point where he's basically dead. And then David Cross comes up on stage, pisses on him, shits in his mouth, and
Nice.
yeah, and it was just like, that was basically it. And then at the end, he wraps it all up by saying, like, I know this bit wasn't particularly clever, but it felt really good to do. And I just thought, like, wow, I've never heard anyone talk that amount of violent shit against a sitting president, even in private.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty interesting.
You know what though, TJ? That is shameful and offensive.
But anyway, you talk about Ron Perlman triggered that memory of
that is shameful
Ron
and
Perlman
offensive.
beating Trump's face
You know
in
what?
with his ham-sized fists.
Nice.
You know what I want to say to that, TJ? I think David Cross's fucking career has failed.
He should be arrested.
You know
Well, I mean,
what?
if the amount of people who have actually watched his most recent special is any indication, I'd say
He's
you're
failed.
probably pretty right.
Look, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I like David Cross, but I mean, his time in the limelight has obviously come and gone because if his special came out, I didn't hear about it. Was it released on Netflix? Where was it released?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
I don't think it's on Netflix.
I've seen it somewhere.
You made a mistake, dude. You gotta put it on Netflix, dude.
I guess. I don't know.
What a failure.
You're right there, TJ.
But he's a failure.
You gonna make it?
Yeah, I'm a failure too. I failed.
He's a funny failure.
I
though.
failed to take a hit without getting. Honestly, the first half of his set fucking sucked.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad. Then he did the Trump stuff, which was like I said, not very clever. Like he said, actually, not very clever, and he was right. It wasn't. Then he came on and did this encore that actually was the best fucking joke of the entire show. But I don't want to spoil that one. So anyway, in case anyone out there does want to watch
Lots
it.
of failure this episode. I feel like I almost feel like a failure right now.
Yeah, TJ's failure to stay on topic. You got anything else you want to say about Ron Perlman, TJ?
I ask permission if you
got anything?
let me do the
No.
digression
Let's hear
stuff.
some more Ron Perlman facts, TJ.
Okay, hold on.
Come on.
I'll give you some Ron.
Give me a
fucking-
Ron
How
Perlman
tall
fact.
is Ron Perlman?
Yeah. What is his favorite food?
He looks like he'd be a tall
All right,
dude.
Ron, 30 lesser known facts you probably didn't know.
All right, I don't need
about Ron
30. I
Perlman.
asked for one. You just pick one and give it to me. I
No,
didn't
you
ask
get-
for 30.
you get 30.
I didn't ask for 30.
Perlman is a classically trained actor whose career spanned over 3
I know
decades.
this.
He worked along with Marlon Brando, Sean Connery, Dominique Pignon, Brad
this.
Dourif, and Ed Harris.
I
to
knew this.
name a few.
I knew this.
All right, well, he was born Ronald N. Perlman on April 13th, 1950 in Washington Heights,
Okay,
New
I
York.
didn't know
You
this,
that?
but that's just mundane. You can find that out about
Dude,
anybody.
He
Give me
is
something
Jewish and of Hungarian
Good. Doesn't
and Polish
matter.
descent.
Doesn't matter. I'm not
How
a.
tall
I'm,
is he, TJ?
I'm not an
I don't
identity
care
politics guy.
How tall is Ron?
Come on, give me a good fact about Ron Perlman. You got anything I don't know?
I don't know.
Anything?
I don't know, man.
Give me one.
Scotty wants to know his height. You want to know his height?
Oh, okay. Look, I'm reading one right here. Ron Perlman thinks Paul's ego is a butt fucking faggot.
Everyone
I knew
thinks
that. I knew that.
Ron Perlman is 6'1".
Really?
Yeah,
I
he's
thought he was
6'1".
taller, dude. He looks like you know how people just say they look shorter. Like I thought he was like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, he does look taller, but
He does, yeah.
I think it's just because he's so big.
He's just a big ham beast of a man.
Yeah,
so.
look at him. I mean, look
Yeah,
at
look at the
his
hands.
fucking
Yeah, I know, dude.
hands.
Yeah.
That's why David Cross wanted to see Ron Perlman punch Trump because his hands are the size of fucking hands.
Well, look at this. Like Perlman, keep that picture up there for a second. Perlman has a giant head,
yes.
like a giant fucking head, and that hand next to his head is impressively large. So you
It
know
is.
that's a big fucking fist he's got there.
Yes.
And he's got a jaw that looks like he could take a punch from fucking Rocky Balboa.
Fuck yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? He looks like he could.
He's got that super masculine,
Yeah.
manly look, just naturally. Though.
Yeah.
Not that it's not like he's like some big muscle dude or anything like that. He's
He
just
looks
a
like
fucking-
he could go back in time to Mike Tyson's prime and go, hey Mike, take the glove off and just give me your best shot right to the face, and probably stay on his feet.
I don't know, man.
I don't know
That
about
jaw is no, dude. You want to test that jaw, TJ?
I don't.
I don't want to.
You gonna walk up
I'm
and
not
jaw
saying.
Perlman?
I'm not saying
But
I
Mike
want to
fucking
test it. I think Mike
dude.
Tyson.
Mike Tyson in his prime, dude. No way.
I
don't know, man.
I'm
A
not
free
saying
shot
he
to
could
the
have hit
face?
back and beat Tyson in a fight. I'm just saying I think he could have absorbed one punch from Tyson.
I think-
with
look,
that iron jaw.
Paul, in my opinion, there's probably only one entity in existence that could do that, and that's Gorilla, dude.
Okay, well, Tyson has not faced Gorilla, so we don't, nobody's ever
I know,
asked
but
about that.
I'm saying if I had to guess someone that could take Tyson's best shot in his prime,
Yeah.
it'd be Gorilla, dude.
Well, you're probably right about that. If I had to pick somebody to play Gorilla in a movie about Gorilla, that would be Ron Perlman.
Okay.
Yeah?
I thought you were gonna go the racist angle with that.
What? What the fuck, TJ?
Anyway. This is an emu.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some failures in war. And this is my favorite one that I ran across last night. One that probably could be a whole episode if we decided. But
Really?
this is the time that Australia lost a war with the emus.
The Great Emu War.
Dude, I love this part of history.
Australia. You guys, you're never gonna live
Australia.
that down.
I mean, come on, guys. You guys talk shit about our country. And look, I know we've lost some wars, but at least they were real wars.
What war the fuck have we lost?
We lost a lot of wars, TJ.
What war have we lost?
The Vietnam War, TJ.
We didn't lose Vietnam.
I mean, it's a disputed fact to this day. I think a lot of people would say we lost that
I'd
war.
say
We
yeah.
didn't lose.
What about the war for the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people?
Okay, we lost that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the emu problem actually began in the immediate aftermath of the First World War when Western Australia changed emu status from endangered to vermin as they started to invade new agricultural lands in search of water. The settlers took the emus in their stride in the 1920s. However, by the 30s, it was just one problem too many. And by 1932, when a reported 20,000 emus, that's a lot of fucking emus,
Yeah, so what the, man?
descended onto the farmlands,
Good.
the invasion became a lightning rod for greater concerns. The lack of trust between the veteran farmers and the Ministry of Agriculture meant that the soldier farmers turned in an unexpected direction for help. They arrived on the doorstep of Minister of War Sir George Pierce. These veterans understandably vivid memories of the effect of machine guns on massed groups of men, so why not, they reasoned, use Australian machine guns on the birds. The GP was willing and ordered a number of companies to go out and and save the crops, and the farce began. So wow. I've got another
dude, fuck.
picture here
Fuck
for you.
These motherfuckers, dude. These fucking emus have lived in Australia for millions of fucking years, dude.
Yeah. So
these are the lands they fucking lived on.
I'm telling you, and I love that they won this, because listen to this about the emus.
Yeah.
I love it. The problem was from the very beginning, the emus proved to have considerably more acumen than their human opponents. Emus rarely formed into large groups, and when they did, it was difficult to predict these big groups where and when they were going to come together. There were some curious attempts to herd the emus towards machine gun nests, but these involved small numbers, and relatively few were shot, and even fewer were killed. So, regarding the reports that survived...
the emus fucking kicked your ass, bitch.
It says here that regarding the reports that survived...
Dude, it's like a real-life version of fucking Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, dude. Meep, meep, meep.
This author says that it was extremely lucky that nobody was lost to friendly fire in this war, from what he read about it. It was just like indiscriminate machine gun fire in all directions. And a subsequent attempt to kill emus involved mounting a machine gun on the back of a big truck and then driving it around in the outback after a group. Not a single bird was killed. Not a single.
Couldn't even kill one, dude.
No, listen to this. This is even better. Oh. Not a single bullet was ever shot because the gunner couldn't fucking get steady enough to line the gun up because they were bouncing around on the back of a fucking truck. And the only thing that happened because of this campaign was a stretch of fence was destroyed when the truck lost control and careened into it. So literally, they went to go kill a bunch of emus on their machine gun truck that they made and ended up destroying some of their own fence. And that was the only thing that they didn't even get a shot off.
What a comedy of...
Oh, Australia. This will never go away.
This sums up humanity so well,
It
though.
says that, like the Acme emu hunting kit, you know? They fucking try to... I mean,
I'm going to get these varmints!
It really is a wonder that no one died. It says here the best they ever did was they killed 12 emus one time.
That was like the crowning achievement.
Out of 20,000.
One time they killed 12.
12 of the autistic, retarded emus like just wandered up.
And then the machine gun jammed and they couldn't do anymore.
Oh, shit!
So the campaign was ended by a series of mocking questions in the Australian Parliament on 9th of November of the same year, when one member of Parliament asked whether there would be medals given for the campaign. A representative from Western Australia, A.E. Green, made the point that the medal should be given to the emus who had won every round so far.
That guy understands what's going on.
So he at that point, you know, obviously it was a national embarrassment and remains that way to this day.
If there is an A.E. Green equivalent in our culture,
we need
make
him now.
President.
Yeah, we need him now, please.
That's the guy who actually fucking just looked at this whole situation and was like, okay, here's how stupid we are. Let me explain.
You lose a war against endemic wildlife, you're done. You know
I mean, that's humanity's specialty is fucking
it always has
nature
been.
up.
Yeah.
And these guys, apparently not when we're trying, though.
These dudes, by the way, the zoo here in town has a pair of emus, and I spent most of the longest amount of time watching them. They are fucking fascinating to watch as they get about their fucking business and shit. They're great. They're awesome birds. You can tell they're smart as fuck. Just, you know, they're basically like dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all birds are, so.
Dude,
but they are very close to like a raptor.
Yeah, they kind of come across.
Dude, they're just like
that.
some really cool fucking animals. And like just looking at them, like, yeah, I can understand how they could be a nuisance, but I mean, like, they have a fucking right to be there too.
Well,
I mean, they
look,
lived
these
there for
people
fucking
just
millions of fucking years.
They didn't prepare. They started making agricultural lands in a place where there was tons of wildlife that wanted to eat. And when they put up all this wheat and shit, I remember reading an account from this war where there was like, they would go in the wheat fields, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so they had this idea that they would, they were so coordinated. It was a great story. I didn't pull the text from it because I knew I'd just remember it. But they were talking about like, they would fire off a shot and one head would pop up out of the wheat fields and look around, right? And they would take aim at it 99.9% of the time miss, and then that second shot, 90 other heads would pop up out of the wheat fields and they'd all run.
By the way, just for the record, the current conservation status of emus, least concern.
Damn.
Yeah, they're still doing fine.
They've
learned to coexist.
Fine.
And they're pretty much, dude, look at their range in Australia, dude. It's pretty much the entire fucking country.
Pretty much just Australia. I mean, their range
That is fucking cool as shit, though.
I'll pull it up. Their range pretty much encompasses the entirety of Australia.
I mean, so they won, dude.
Oh, yeah.
They fucking won.
There was never a doubt they were going to win. I mean, you know what I mean? It was just over from the get-go.
And it's just crazy because they're very large animals. I mean, there's a lot of other species that have fucking just died out or their numbers have dropped rapidly, and I guess they're still doing all right.
Yep. So, let's not pick on Australia too hard. America has
Why
its
not?
own history of...
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. We've
No,
got
we
we've got
don't.
military failures.
Don't lie.
How about General Stonewall Jackson, the pride of the Union Army?
Old Stonewall there.
Old Stonewall. How about his last ride, TJ? If America doesn't have a fail, then why don't you explain to me how this man
he
died?
fought for the Confederacy. It doesn't count.
He fought for the Union. Stonewall Jackson.
What?
Stonewall Jackson.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
wait. No, you're right. He was a Confederate.
Second. Good.
Stonewall Jackson. Good old Stonewall.
Yeah, he was a.
So he was.
I actually know how this. You know how this guy got his
did-
name.
How did he get his name, TJ?
Do you know, Paul?
I don't.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Do you know, Scotty?
Wasn't it like that? Basically, he had to hold the line, and like he said, it was like a stone wall. Like he would,
Yeah.
his line wouldn't move.
Basically, this guy was known for being courageous to the point of recklessness. He pretty much had no regard for his own well-being.
Yeah.
And so when enemy formations came towards him, it was basically like he was a stone wall.
He just sat there. He just sat there to
Yeah.
take it, to receive the charge.
Yeah, he was just like, fuck you.
So he was
Yankee
a
son of a bitch.
He was known for being a reconnaissance guy, and he would go deep behind enemy lines and find out what people were up to. He had no regard for his own well-being in doing so because it was very dangerous. People would post sentries and shit back then.
Yeah,
So
he was a bad motherfucker. He just didn't care.
I want to point out that this is not really a failing of America because this is a failing of
Well,
the
he was an
Confederates-
American.
the
He was an
Confederate
American,
States.
TJ. This was American versus American.
This
and
was not the United States. This is the Confederates.
He may not have been fighting under the banner of the United States, but I think we all consider these people to be Americans when
I
we
don't.
look back in
Not
our
for
history.
I
time.
don't. Not me.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
you delegitimize the South?
Yep.
Don't walk outside that door and
You know
say
what,
that, boy.
TJ? South rise again, boy. Don't you say that.
South
better-
will rise again.
You better say that under your breath. You walk outside your fucking door. Around here, boy.
I never want to see you fucking drink sweet tea again, TJ.
Yeah,
Fucking
don't be
making
drinking
comments
out of a
like-
mason jar.
Come
Don't
on.
be drinking no goddamn
Don't you ever
sweet
even
tea,
fucking think about
baby.
drinking sweet tea out of a fucking mason jar again, saying shit like that.
So what happened to him, Paul?
Okay, so he went out one night to run reconnaissance. He didn't actually want to wait for any intelligence officers to gather the knowledge, so he decided, I'm going myself.
Typical Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah. So he rode out beyond the Confederate lines into Union-controlled territory, accompanied by just a small group of his, most trusted entourage. When one of his officers pointed out that wandering beyond your own lines in the aftermath of a battle might be a tad dangerous, Jackson assured the men that it was all good and ordered him to go tell everyone to prepare for opening yet another 10 of whoop-ass on the enemy. So he failed to realize two very important things. Thing number one, your average soldier isn't Stonewall Jackson or even all that brave. He's cold and tired and hungry and terrified out of his skull of the darkness beyond his picket. And most importantly, he's scared enough to fire at any suspicious movement, especially if said movement rides directly toward him at high speed, booming that he's your own high commander in the middle of the night. Thing number two, Jackson was now coming from the exact direction these men were pointing their guns. So he went out, did a successful reconnaissance mission, planned an
Riding
attack, was riding back across his own lines, and failed to realize that he'd posted guards out there and told them to shoot anybody riding over there, and that's what happened. They shot him. He took 3 bullets, had an arm amputated, and eventually succumbed to operation-induced pneumonia 8 days later. And that's how a random few centuries wound up with an incredibly awkward story to tell their families back home.
Sounds like it.
Whoops-a-daisy, I accidentally
I
killed
tell you what, dude. If this statue's any
General
indication,
Stonewall.
if this statue's any indication, he had a buff ass horse, dude.
he did, dude.
And not only that, he was
Look
buff
at
as
how
fuck, too.
he was like Arnold on that
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Dude, it's like this is clearly a case of hoisted by his own petard, dude. It's crazy that some
So
Yeah?
a
I don't
failure,
know.
what would
It's
this be? This would be a failure to plan properly, a failure to follow military protocol, a failure to take into account the military status of your. I mean, what would you guys call it?
I don't know, but I
On a total, not I mean, dude, there's,
it's just-
there's
yeah.
failure, then there's
Communications failure, maybe.
yeah, that too maybe. But really, the main thing is that I don't know what kind of failure to classify it as, but it's kind of interesting that the trait that most
Earned him his
cemented
infamy,
his
yeah.
legacy
Yeah.
was also probably the one that got him killed because it was that fearlessness
you know
and
what-
that fuck it, I'll do it myself kind
You
of
know what it
attitude
seems like?
that really made him the great. So I mean, yeah, the hoisted by his own petard thing has to be
Hoist by his petard.
yes.
I'll tell you what, dude. I think he's just an early adrenaline junkie. Because you think about it, it's like he doesn't want to wait for these people. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out there. I'll fucking do it myself.
I mean,
These fucking pussies.
he's a hands-on military guy, and he was truly like,
But to go and do that
the
kind of
accounts,
shit-
he's fearless. And
I mean, yeah, but to do that, like you're getting a thrill. It's not like he is not afraid of death.
maybe
I mean, he
a
knows-
failure to recognize his own mortality.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
Probably several failures involved.
But the Brits themselves don't get a pass on this one. They have their own history of failure, and this is one of them. Look at this fucking thing. Now, it looks cool as fuck, does it not?
It does. Whoa, what the fuck is happening?
TJ, you got me, dude.
What did I do?
You've done
Okay.
it. Okay.
All right.
You fixed it.
I don't know what
Fix
the
it,
fuck
TJ.
that
What the hell's
was.
wrong with you, dude?
I'm not sure.
This is called the
I
Great.
didn't even know that happened.
Another failure.
Yes, this is called the Great Pangendrum.
This thing.
Yes.
This thing. Okay.
You
This
see
thing
there are
looks cool
Nazis
as
on the
shit.
beach there, cowering in fear behind their guns
That's
of these.
behind
yeah.
this. I mean, like, yeah. If this thing actually worked, which I'm assuming because we're talking about it, it did not.
No.
But if this, I mean, like, if you were actually sitting there on the beach and some fucking flaming death wheel started fucking barreling towards you
Dude,
at
I
incredible
surrender, dude.
speed, I mean, how do you even surrender to that? That's just
It was meant to soften the fortifications on the beachheads, and it was exactly how it's portrayed here is how it was to be used. It was actually made to be launched from the water as well, so you could actually come close to the beach, launch this thing in the water, you get it spinning, it would roll up on the beach, presumably into the enemy encampment, destroying a bunch of shit, and then explode.
And look at it. So it was supposed to be rocket powered, or what's?
It's
powered?
rocket, yeah. So it's rocket powered. It's got a bunch of rockets all aimed the same way, all the way around both concentric wheels.
And does it explode when it hits?
And yeah,
them?
so when it hits something, eventually it just boom. The middle part there, the cylinder between the two wheels, is filled with explosive. And
That
so
is
it was meant
fucking
to
awesome, dude.
crash into an enemy fortification and then just blow it to shit.
Fuck, dude. If they actually come out with this, dude, that would have
They
made
did.
it work.
They made this thing. Developed by the British during World War II as a means for clearing obstacles ahead of D-Day landings, the Great Pangendrum consisted of a large drum stuffed with a ton of explosives, as I said, affixed to rocket-propelled wheels. The idea was to ignite the rockets from a platform at sea, and the angled rockets affixed to the wheels would cause them to rotate rapidly, launching the contraption at targets and obstacles on the shore, blowing them up, clearing the way to follow on for troops. The device was supposed to be developed in secrecy in order to spring it as a surprise on the Germans, but testing was conducted on a beach popular with vacationers, so the trials were witnessed by a huge crowd.
that's kind of dumb.
Pretty dumb. The design's flaw emerged at the first trial run in 1943 when the rockets were ignited and the device was launched. And you can go to the next picture if you want, TJ.
I'm guessing they could not control where it went.
No, this is a picture from that day. That does not look good. The problem, let's see, it caused it to careen wildly off course.
Right.
One of the rockets flew off. It proved impossible to get the rockets on both sides to ignite simultaneously or to keep firing simultaneously. After weeks of troubleshooting, the developers returned to the beach, this time having affixed a third wheel to the device to increase its stability. That test proved more embarrassing yet, as the device hurtled towards the beach, only to double back and turn to sea towards the launching craft. In the meantime,
Oh, I love it.
a bunch of the rockets had detached from the Great Pangendrum's wheels to launch themselves at all the observers on the beach,
Of course, they did.
whistling over their heads or
Oh my
exploding
God.
underwater nearby.
Jesus.
Returning to the drawing board, the Great Pangendrum's designers worked out the
drawing
bugs.
board.
Yeah.
Come on.
And
give it up.
figuring that they finally had it under control, conducted a final demonstration in front of a gathering of admirals and generals. And I found a quote from a military person who was there, describing what happened.
Okay.
At first, all went well. Panjin Drum rolled into the sea and began to head for the shore. The brass hats watching through binoculars from the top of a pebble ridge. Then the clamp gave. First one, then two, more rockets broke free. Panjin Drum began to lurch ominously. It hit a line of small craters in the sand and began to turn starboard, careening towards Klamansky, who, viewing events through a telescopic lens, misjudged the distance and continued filming. Hearing the approaching roar, he looked up from his viewfinder to see Panjin Drum shedding live rockets in all directions, heading straight for him. As he ran for his life, he glimpsed the assembled admirals and generals diving for cover behind the pebble ridge into barbed wire entanglements.
Oh my God!
Panjin Drum was now heading back to the sea, but crashed onto the sand, where it disintegrated in a violent explosion. Rockets tearing across the beach at great speed. So this thing...
This sounds like a fucking horror movie, dude. It comes after you.
Literally every redesign of it made it worse.
It just gets worse and worse.
Klamansky didn't know what was in for him.
And then I'm assuming at this point they decided, okay, I don't think we can control this thing.
Dude.
This is
You know what the crazy thing is? I feel like with modern engineering techniques, this thing could probably be made to work.
Oh yeah, I think they can make this work today.
Maybe.
Not that, I mean, I don't think it would actually be.
They would definitely be able to digitally trigger the rockets to fire simultaneously.
Yeah, you could have a computer program.
And I mean, I think there could be
to
a
deal with
fixed
timing
better and stuff now too. So.
Well, yeah, obviously the welds were failing at the same time.
A cool idea, but the hilarious results you see before you, certainly a failure, probably an engineering failure, I would call this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a like I would say also a practicality failure.
And just
Yeah.
a
like trying to
hubris failure,
trying
too.
to build something super complicated as like, okay, this is going to be a game changer. It's like they were just too ambitious.
But on the other hand, if someone came up with this and if they had succeeded,
If this worked like
and created this thing, like that would have obviously that would have been awesome.
Because
Yes.
it's not a bad idea. It's just the technology obviously didn't exist at the time to make the necessary changes.
I mean,
to
just
make
from
this work.
even from just an intimidation factor, this is a fucking horrific goddamn monstrosity of a device.
Well, that's what it's supposed to
absolutely
invoke.
correct.
that would cause anyone to shit their pants in terror.
Especially if it looked like this barreling up the beach. Holy fuck, man. Can you imagine?
Yeah, dude.
Well,
Crazy cool idea.
It would have given the Allies an immediate foothold on the beach
Oh,
of
yeah.
Normandy. So, I mean, it would have been just a total game changer. It would have saved a ton of lives.
But was a tragic failure, unfortunately. But that's enough of war. Let's talk about criminal fails. Crime failures. Criminals who don't quite get there. And I pulled some from every level.
Okay.
This is the bottom of the barrel.
So,
This
what happened here?
This is Jan
Sivak.
who should have stayed with his day job because he's an absolute failure at evading police. Sivak failed to turn up in court for burglary. The manhunt ensued and culminated at his home in Halifax, West Yorkshire. The cops thought that finding the 30-year-old was going to be much tougher than what actually ended up happening. Not only did the cops find him, but they found him hiding under his bed with his legs sticking out. Just like this. They actually took this picture, as they were telling him to come out.
Is his bed not that big?
I don't know what the thought process was here.
Is that Lucky Charms by him?
It does look like he's got a box of cereal there under his bed.
Well, he probably didn't want to get hungry under the bed.
So here's a photo that they posted. They posted this photo on Facebook saying, a male in Calderdale who's wanted by police decided to try hiding this morning when they went to his property looking for him. You will not be surprised to find that, yes, we did find him. He will not be winning any awards for hide-and-seek champion soon.
It doesn't look like it.
So,
dude, mocked even by the police, dude. That's great.
I mean, how could you not?
I don't know. I just don't know the thought process. Like, did he think, was he high or something? Do you think his legs were covered?
I couldn't tell you. I honestly do not know.
I mean, does it blend in with the fucking carpet?
Maybe you just like regress to that childlike state of like, I'm gonna hide from the monsters. They can't see me under here.
But when you hide from the monsters, like your feet are like the first thing you protect.
Dude, you can't even say that about kids, because kids, if you say hide under the bed, are gonna go all the way under the bed. So I don't know what the fuck this dude's deal was.
If you're a kid scared of monsters, I remember this. You know, you don't even want your feet hanging off over the edge of the bed
Dude,
lest the fucking monster grab that shit.
Dude, that's the scariest fucking part, is your feet being over the edge. You're like, fuck that, dude. So if anything, your feet are gonna be tucked away.
I mean, maybe it's different in this guy's culture. I don't know where Jan Sivak was born. But
Yeah.
I do know that he's not good at crime and should probably find a straight job to work.
Sounds like it.
You recognize this guy here?
Oh, this is all
Bernie.
Bernie.
Yeah, so this is a white-collar criminal and is the most successful white-collar criminal of all time in terms of dollar amount.
Actually, there's some blue stripes on his collar as well, Paul.
Yeah, white and blue striped, pinstriped criminal.
Thanks. Collar criminal.
He was able to get, and I'd never actually heard this number before, so it was pretty startling to me, $65 billion with a B.
Cool.
What he did. Madoff created what is probably the biggest corporate con in history, essentially a gigantic Ponzi scheme, by encouraging investment from wealthy individuals and companies around the world, and then using further investment rather than profit to pay off existing investors. So,
Right. It's the I mean, it's the easiest thing. I mean, like
The new investors pay the old investors.
New investors pay the old. Like, yeah, you go. It's like, hey,
And
I got.
people knew he was full of shit. And it was crazy because he promised these people, and the reason he went to fucking prison for the rest of his life is because he fucked over a bunch of rich people.
right.
And the crazy thing about it was that people calculated his returns. Someone actually did the math and was like, "There's no Bernie Madoff with the funds he's buying into and what he's claiming." Basically, mathematically, what he's doing is impossible with the market returns.
I mean, but it worked for long enough for him to get a lot of really high-profile corporate clients,
dude.
a lot of high-profile celebrity clients worked
Well,
through Madoff.
The thing about a Ponzi scheme is that the early people, they do turn a profit,
Right.
Because you're paying them with money from other investors.
You're basically constantly fundraising in a Ponzi scheme. So
Right,
what you do
yes.
is you go to somebody like Kevin Bacon, who's got a few $1 million. You say, Kevin, you give me $1 million, I can give you $2 million next year. That's how I do. That's what my investment firm does. And to get that $2 million, the next day you're in some other fucking dude's living room trying to get $2 million from him so you can pay Kevin. And you're skimming a little bit off of each transaction, obviously, for yourself. And
Right.
and he did it to the tune of $65 billion.
with a B.
So he was caught, like Scotty said, because he fucked over a bunch of rich people, basically. I'm not going to read what I pulled. I mean, in the end, when he was finally caught and the scheme was revealed, the size of the fraud was $64.8 billion.
This to me seems like a success. I mean, even though he eventually got caught,
He's in jail,
Right,
TJ.
but just
That's
the-
not a success.
I mean, I feel like when you did the greatest Ponzi scheme in history, that means you did it better than anybody else.
It means you failed to see it through to its logical conclusion, which is you dying a rich old fuck that never served a day
That's
in
true.
prison.
I mean, if
he just lived a little too long.
he spent the rest of his life in prison. I mean, you can say whatever.
I mean, really, what
he
Bernie,
lived a good life for a while. But, also, I believe
the real failure here, in my opinion, is he didn't know when to quit. Because you know what? If you're gonna run this kind of Ponzi scheme shit, you got to get to a certain point and then just disappear.
Oh yeah, and that was but part of his role in this was he was the face of it. He was the guy that was selling all these people on
Right,
it.
of
He
course.
was. It was his credibility that was riding on all of this shit. He had to be there. If he was just some dude that like, where's this Madoff guy? You're not gonna sell. Oh, I don't know. Nobody knows where he is. He had to be there. I'm the face of this. I'm the guy that handles the money. Hey, I'm Bernie
Well,
Madoff.
I
That's
don't-
how he did this shit.
I mean, at some point, he should have just shut down shop
Right.
and fucking disappeared.
You know what?
But how do you do that when you've got everybody
You can't.
in the world on the hook for billions of dollars?
Well,
I mean,
another thing too is
I meant
dude,
just like go to like some obscure island.
Oh, you think that's going to
somewhere
protect you in this day and age
No,
when you
fuck
owe
no.
billions of dollars to some of the most powerful people in America in the world?
Yeah,
no.
I
was
mean, at
fucked.
this point, he has billions of dollars too.
Well,
that he
I mean,
can
not
blow.
to mention though, he paid another price. His fucking son killed himself.
Yep.
Soon after all this came out, during the financial crisis. Sure.
So how long did he get away with this?
Let me see if I
I
can tell you.
He started it when it doesn't really say, I guess.
I mean, it says doubts were raised about his scheme as early as 1999. I didn't pull exactly the date when he started.
I mean, he
this.
must have been doing it for quite some time.
Yeah,
To build up that much
to build
wealth,
up that
yeah.
much capital and wealth. Yes, he was probably doing this for a number of decades, slowly but surely building. So that's a white collar criminal. TJ doesn't necessarily believe he failed. I do. I do think that the end result of this is not 150 years in jail and a dead son.
Right, that's true.
I don't consider that success.
But he made history.
Yeah.
Biggest Ponzi scheme ever. Good on-
You can't take that from him. He
Scam
did
recognized
he
scam,
succeeded,
brah.
He succeeded in making history by failing at a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, I'll give him that.
I mean, he didn't really fail at the Ponzi scheme. Whatever.
That's where I disagree. No, get Bernie Madoff back up here, TJ. Stand
Okay.
your ground.
Right. I mean, how can you say it failed?
Or-
when he
so,
raised-
okay, so
he made $65 billion.
Here's how I say it failed.
Okay.
Because his intention was to be a rich old fuck traveling all over the world and being rich as fuck for the rest of his life.
Right.
If you cannot tell me that his intention was, I hope I eventually get caught and spend the rest of my life in a fucking padded cell and my son
Right.
kills himself. That's not success. That's failure. He was successful for a while and then met his failure.
Right.
If he had croaked a happy old man on the Greek shore somewhere eating grapes from some big-titted waitress that was feeding them to him,
Yeah.
I'd say success.
All right. I mean,
You get me?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Did I defend my position well enough, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I still think you got to give him props for that $65
I
billion
do. I'm not
scam.
trying to take away from it, but I'm just saying he failed.
mean,
Ultimately,
that's-
he failed.
Yeah, but I mean, despite his failure, it's like kind of like Dan Marino. You know, he was one of the greatest quarterbacks. Did he have a Super Bowl ring? No.
Right. He failed to get a ring.
Yeah, but so I think Bernie Madoff, he still deserves respect. He's one of the
says he
greatest
started
scammers
off-
of all time.
He started off in the 60s, dude. So you got away with the shit, his scam.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that's
see, TJ,
fucking,
you're
like 40,
implying
50
something
years,
that's
dude.
interesting, and I think we could take a little digression to talk about this. You have a
Okay.
psychological kind of reaction to failure as inherently negative. When I started this show talking about how failure is a ladder to success.
Right.
So you have to, like, just because
Well, I mean,
Bernie
sometimes it
Madoff
can be.
didn't make it, just because his old rich ass ended up in a prison cell and he lost everything precious to
Yeah.
him, doesn't take away from the brilliance of him perpetrating that scheme for 30-odd years or whatever it was.
So it was. He started in the '60s. Is that Scotty? So that's the
Well, that's when he got involved with
70s,
investing.
80s,
90s,
2000s.
2000s.
I'm not sure how-
30, 35 years.
I don't know if he was
probably.
running the Ponzi scheme the
40
entire
years or
time, but
something.
he started I think it was like a penny stock company.
Oh, okay.
So that he started working in the stock trade at that time, and he started we could say he probably did it for a fucking decade or more. You
The
know
real
what I mean?
fail is that his head is shaped like a fucking squash. We can just say that.
He does kind of have a squash head,
He
but
does have a
that's
squash
more. It's the hair that does it. He needs to just get rid of the hair.
I don't know if that would help.
It would.
Maybe.
It would help a little.
Maybe. Anyway, this is Vincent Mangano.
Mangiano, TJ.
Mangiano.
Vincento Mangiano.
Mangiano.
TJ.
Vincente Mangiano! What are you fucking stupido?
So I'm gonna tell you right now
It's me, Mangano.
that I'm gonna be pulling for a the Five Families of New York episode after doing some research on. I wanted to find a mafia guy that I didn't really know about and learn about him. There's obviously it's such a ripe territory for colorful characters and shit. There's so many movies that are trying to capture it. These guys are all like, this story is interesting. All these guys are fucking interesting. So I think it would make a good show. Just a kind of an aside. But Vincenzo Mangiano here.
Giovanni Mangiano.
Vincenzo Giovanni Mangiano was also known as the
Let's
executioner.
eat some spaghetti.
Well, he was known as the executioner, not the eater.
Let's eat some spaghetti and murder people.
Although interestingly, Mangiano, I think manja or whatever means eat. So you're not far off. So he's called the executioner by the Brooklyn newspapers. It was the head of the Mangiano crime family and also one of the most infamous bosses of Murder Incorporated from 19.
That's awesome, dude.
Murder Incorporated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Dad, to Murder
This is why I want to
Incorporated.
we got to do a show on this. You know what I mean? It's just too fucking great.
It's like a murder story. You just go in there, you pick your murder.
It's they were into everything.
I want to do like an
Prostitution, guns,
accident. Oh, that's gonna cost extra.
drugs, gambling, running liquor, everything that needed to be done, whatever it was.
Awesome.
So his brother, Philip Mangiano, was his right-hand man and de facto or substituto underboss of the crime family, which eventually became the Gambino crime family. So this is a big figurehead in what eventually became one of the biggest of the five families of New York.
Cool.
So Mangiano was the only one of the bosses who retained the old ways, and a resentment grew from a new breed of mob leaders, including Anastasia. Anastasia grew to prefer the company of other mob bosses, such as Charles Luciano, that's Lucky Luciano, Frank Costello, and Louis Lepke Buchholter. Likewise, Mangiano grew to resent and mistrust Anastasia. The two men regularly argued and fought, having to be pulled apart, possibly for the protection of the elder Mangiano, who was no physical match for the younger underboss. So he was basically an old school guy. He kept to the old kind of fucking Sicilian ways, you know what I mean?
Right.
And these newer bosses were coming in that wanted to be more flamboyant and wanted to do things their way and deal
So
more.
what? I don't. What principally was the difference at this time between the old school and the new school? Because obviously, what was new school then is probably super old school.
I know
by now,
one of the things that they quibbled over was drugs. The drug trade was a big question at this time, and I don't really know, to be honest with you. I'd like to do more fucking research into the actual mafia and not what we've seen in the movies.
Cool.
But the old school mafia way and the new school mafia way would be a definite, like, cool way to couch an entire episode.
Yeah, because I'm totally curious.
Yeah, I mean, everything about this just screams to be looked at.
Yes.
You know?
So we'll take a deeper look at that when we do that
You've
episode.
seen a lot of that in the movies that have, kind of talked about these mafia stories. It's like drugs are always kind of like a dividing thing where some of them are
That's
like,
true, 'cause I mean,
hey, there's a lot of money to be made, but then the old school guys like, no, we don't deal with that shit.
So
it's
there might be some truth in that. I
Because
don't
there was
know.
actually maybe some civic mindedness there, I guess.
Sure,
Like
maybe
not
more
wanting to turn their
community-minded.
communities into fucking dog shit.
So in 1951, and this is Anastasia here, is believed to have heard of a plot to kill him formed by his boss and decided to take preemptive action in what would he would ultimately describe as self-defense. Phil Mangiano was found murdered near Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, on April 19th, 1951. Vincent also vanished the same day without a trace. His body was never found. Though Anastasia has never admitted to having a hand in the Mangiano murders, he did manage to convince the heads of the other families that Vincent Mangiano had been plotting to have him killed, and he was named the new boss of the family. So it's basically a coup.
So basically, he went and killed his boss,
Yep.
and the other crime boss is like, "Why the fuck have you done this?" And he's like, "He was gonna kill me. It
Yeah,
was me or
he's
him."
plotting.
And I fucking wasted his ass. And they're like, "Okay, well, we like you better anyway." So
I mean, more than likely, they wanted that dude gone anyways.
Right.
right, because he wasn't jiving with the new way things were being done. So they're like, "Okay, so that dinosaur is gone, and now we got someone modern in there."
And
Yeah.
I think his first name is Frank. So this guy, Frank Anastasia, would go on to lead the mob into the Gambino crime family era. So he was kind of a transitional figure, a big figurehead in the mob. They're all sharp dressers, too. Look at how
Well, of course.
snazzy that is. That's just snaz, dude.
I mean, of course they are.
Dude, if you look like that, that's just pure snaz.
I mean, what's the point in being that? You know, I mean that might be a part of the old school versus new school too, because a lot of the old school guys, I remember they were more about like keeping a lower profile and
Right.
not necessarily flashing around everywhere how big and
Well,
important they
put
were.
up Frank again. I mean, look at how he kept himself versus,
I mean, he looks all right.
yeah, I mean, he looks.
Is this a prison thing?
Yeah, this is a prison
I mean,
photo.
obviously, this isn't an
It's not a prison-
issue
right.
garb.
he was
so-
arrested in this, so.
But
he
I mean,
was out.
he doesn't look shabby or anything, but he's not.
He's not
He's
not
not
trying
this.
to get attention, right?
Yeah, this is flashier for sure.
He kind of reminds me of Roger Stone,
Yeah.
the way Roger Stone, dresses and portrays himself. But anyway, interesting mob boss
Yes.
failure to keep his enemies closer than his friends, I guess.
It's like a structurally sound bridge here.
Yeah, this is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in Tacoma, Washington. It was built and opened in 1940 and collapsed into Puget Sound 5 months later. The common explanation for its collapse is the bridge's resonant frequency matched the frequency of the wind.
I know a little something about that because I saw a MythBusters episode about it where they were trying to bust a myth of Nikola Tesla said that he was able to, with like a very small device, I forget exactly what piece of equipment it was, but it was like a small kind of thing, but he tuned it to the resonance frequency of the building he was in, and he said that it shook the building so violently it was like an earthquake.
Right.
Because and then the MythBusters went out to an actual bridge and used a similar piece of equipment to and synced it to that bridge's resonance frequency. And even though they were not able to get the bridge to like violently shake or anything, they actually were able to get it to where they could feel like this is having an effect on the bridge. So for some reason, syncing with resonance frequencies will achieve some crazy shit.
Interesting.
Whoa.
So this was like a failure in foresight, or maybe a failure in our knowledge at the time. A failure to foresee a problem
Yes.
with a piece of transportation
And
equipment.
Here is the result.
So we've moved on now. We're going to talk about transportation and structural failures, and then I just wanted to open with this bridge as an example of that.
Right.
There's not really a whole lot to say about it. Nobody died in the collapse, or at least I don't think they did. So
I mean, you see this. I mean, this picture here. I mean, I'm sure it was imminent the bridge was going to collapse.
yeah,
So
I mean,
I
it
don't
was
think
shaking
it was.
violently.
Yeah, they said it
and-
was, twisting and rolling, and eventually.
So nobody's
like,
driving.
I mean, this
on
is
it.
like a 1 in a
People-
million shot right here. Unless you know it's coming.
At some point, people can see, hey, this bridge is not stable. Don't get on it.
Right.
So.
Let's move on to the next one, though. This is the HMS Victoria. I wanted to find another ship-type failure since I decided, I'm not going to
You
shove
decided
more.
against the Titanic.
Yeah, I'm not going to
so.
shove more Titanic down people's throats, and I really like this story. This is the time that the British Navy sunk
Shove
its
the
own best
Titanic
ship.
down your throat.
Yeah, this is the time the British Navy sunk its own best ship, which I figure it totally belongs
Wait, what?
here. Yes.
they sunk their own ship?
Yes, they did.
Wait, not only did they sink their own ship, they sunk their best ship.
And they
sunk
sunk
my battleship.
And they sunk it in one of the stupidest ways that you can imagine.
So, okay, I'm ready for this.
Okay.
Okay, so the HMS Victoria was a massive warship that was built for one purpose and one purpose alone: to turn Britain's enemies in the sea into Britain's enemies under the sea.
Under the sea.
Designed to be the flagship of their Mediterranean fleet, the Royal Navy spared no expense in making Victoria terrifyingly unstoppable.
Wow.
With its 17-inch armor, state-of-the-art engines, and two 110-ton guns built into one massive turret, the ship was essentially the Death Star of the sea.
Wow.
In 1893, the Brits accidentally sunk the HMS Victoria all by themselves with a flashy parade maneuver. If you pull up the picture and blow it up a little bit, it explains exactly what happened. So basically, there were these two ships, the Victoria, you can see on the right, and the Camperdown.
Camperdown.
He wanted them to do this kind of big, showy arc where they do a full
Right.
turn and then they come together and go back to shore in a big, pageantry kind of show. But what you're seeing here is the distance that they were apart versus the distance that they needed to be apart according to the turn radius of these two ships.
So basically, they crashed into each other.
So when they went to do this maneuver at 1,200 yards apart, when they came to the arc, they needed 2,800 yards to be able to pull this off safely, and they just crashed into one another, and the Victoria took the worst of it. It's actually the world's only head-down shipwreck. It was damaged so heavily in the front, and those 110-ton guns on the front that we talked about earlier
Right.
literally
Just
dragged
weighed
it
it down,
like an
yeah.
anchor head first to the bottom of the fucking ocean. So badly that it still can't be recovered to this. I mean, there was no recovery option for this
Right.
boat at all.
So it's just totally lost.
It's literally still down there head first, exactly as it was on the day. This was the man responsible here, Vice Admiral George Tryon. Tryon decided to show off his fleet's capabilities, designed the display for the masses gathered on the shores in a manner not unlike a skateboarder impressing onlookers with a perfectly executed front-side ollie. Thank you, dumb fucking writer of this article, for adding that stupid shit.
like an ollie, dude.
The idea. Anyway, we just explained it.
Brah. Yeah, we already.
So
said.
this dude, in his hubris, did the math calculations wrong and literally sank Britain's most expensive and greatest war machine to the bottom of the ocean, never to be seen again.
Well, you know what, Admiral Tryon? I think you need to stop trying so hard. You know what I'm saying? Eh?
Yep.
He was a bit of a try hard.
So you know what?
I really love the idea though behind this. Like, you have this big crowd, and everyone's like, "Yeah, we're gonna fucking see these two ships do this cool fucking maneuver." They're building it up all day. Cause like, look, this is back.
Oh, dude, I love this description too. It basically says that Tryon was watching this shit.
Okay.
Everyone else was watching in horror, and he's just like totally calm, like, nope, all part of the plan. And then when it actually happened, it said that it like was really slow to dawn on him. Like, wait a
Oh
minute.
shit.
And the only reason it even dawned on him was because he was on board the Victoria himself. So he's like, oh shit.
It's about
I don't-
we're gonna
All
crash.
part of the plan.
Oh.
Oh, we're gonna crash. You're gonna crash. All part of the plan. Oh shit.
Okay.
Well, never mind.
We crashed. I guess my plan sucked.
I mean, obviously he believed in the plan if he was on board the ship. So
Yeah.
he was behind it, man.
Yeah, I mean, he knew what he was doing. This is
Did anyone die in this accident or?
No, nobody died.
I mean, another ship is
But
right there.
his career.
I mean, yeah, I don't think Admiral Tryon was considered to.
so that's an
in
actual
very
picture.
much esteem at that point.
And you can see the rear propellers of the Victoria as it literally takes a nosedive to the bottom of the ocean here.
Don't mess with the British Empire.
Oh my God.
So yeah, a pretty tragic failure here. not really many ways to spin this fail into
they
a
invoked
win.
fear in
You know,
their enemies.
there's some, I argued the point a little bit on one of them, and some of the other ones I could see. Well, there was, but this one is just pure, unadulterated. This is almost. I mean, the Emu War is still worse, but
only by a hair.
Yeah, I mean,
This one probably cost more money. Honestly,
it probably did. Well, I don't know. Yeah,
I would guess.
yeah, good chance. Good chance it did.
Let's take a look at another case of structural failure and
Okay.
engineering failure. This is the Knickerbocker Theater. It looks like a pretty lively joint.
Yeah,
huh?
I mean, it looks hopping.
It was actually a pretty well-renowned theater in the Washington, D.C. area. I actually have a news clip, so I'm not going to be reading from some online article this time. We got a news clip here from the day after what happened, and you can go to the next picture if you'd like.
Okay.
So accumulated snowfall from a blizzard collapses the Knickerbocker Theater in Washington, D.C. on this day in 1922. The blizzard formed in the Carolinas on January 26th and moved into Washington area the following day. For 2 days, snow blanketed the nation's capital, resulting in accumulations of more than 2 feet. The large amount of snow crippled transportation in Washington and shut down the government. By Saturday night, things were beginning to return to normal, and some 300 people attended a movie at the Knickerbocker Theater on the corner. So it was just extra tragic because just by happenstance, the whole city had literally been snowed in. People hadn't been able to get out of their houses, so they're all fucking,
let's go to a movie.
Let's
They're
go
going
see
stir
a
crazy.
movie. It's fine. We can finally get out. Let's go check out a flick.
Yeah, it starts to melt, and they're able to clear the streets enough for people to go out. So literally, it's like this record crowd goes out. 300 fucking people all in one night to go see a fucking movie. And the melting snow on the roof of the building collapsed in on them, killing a bunch of them.
Yeah, 108 people were killed.
Yep. So out of the 300, so a third of the people,
Including
plus,
5 in a single family. So that's basically a whole family is just dead.
Yep, another 133 people hospitalized.
People were being pulled out of the rubble all night.
Yeah.
And we're talking like tons of steel and concrete just
And
collapsing.
we're also
on top
talking
of
about a
these
time with no modern rescue
moviegoers.
equipment either. So
Right,
people
so
were
this is
literally
like people-
scrambling around with lanterns.
People out there digging this out, crazy stuff. Totally nuts.
So a complete failure to, I guess, compensate for the fact that you're building a giant structure filled with people in a place that has a lot of snow sometimes. And
Yeah, here's the problem is the roof was flat.
right.
So the snow that
When
had
it
recently
melted,
fallen,
it just
yeah.
pooled there. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was nowhere for it to go. Apparently, there was no place for it to drain to, and obviously the roof was not.
Just a lot of modern building techniques that we just take for granted today. They just didn't think about when they engineered these buildings. There wasn't much engineering. It was just like build the roof. As long as it supports the weight of the wood, it's fine.
It said that when people heard about this, by midnight, 200 rescue workers had organized on the scene, and by 2:30 a.m., there was 600 people there, all working in tandem to try to
In 1922,
get victims out
You
of
know.
this wreckage. And this is not
by lamplight.
this is not professionals doing this. I mean, maybe some are, but this is mostly just people who've heard about this showing
Right.
up and
Community folks. Like,
Yes.
oh my God, let's go help.
This is actually when humanity had a sense of community.
Well, I mean,
So-
if you look at like 9/11, there were
Right.
similar stories.
Sure.
Because 9/11 basically
look how
destroyed
well
the
we treated
NYPD and the New York Fire Department in one fell swoop. So a lot of average Joes fucking jumped in.
Yeah, and a lot of them got sick, and the government did not pay
nothing.
for their health care. So that's great. Thanks, government. You treat our heroes so
We
well.
honor these brave heroes.
with lip service. So much lip service.
We thank you.
But
That's all you're gonna get.
that's enough collapse and tragedy and engineering failure. Let's talk about some political failures.
Cool.
And I know what you guys probably think. You think I'm just going to put Trump up here and we're going
Nope.
to use this another weak attempt to.
Trumpity Trump.
But I'll tell you what.
Trumpity Trump.
Contrary to popular modern belief, there were a lot of political failures before Donald Trump, and there will probably be a lot after him.
Dude,
I don't buy it.
I don't want to be that dude in the yellow.
Trump is the pinnacle of awfulness, and there was never anyone worse, and there never will be. He's the ultimate evil.
So TJ, the way I read this scene, I'm the dude on the right. You're the dude on the left, dude.
You're the dude on the what dude?
I'm the dude about
There's
the
lots
fucking-
of dudes. There's tons of dudes.
Nah, I'm the dude in the center with the fucking sword or the stick, dude. I'm about
Right.
to fucking kill you, dude. I'm sorry.
And I'm the dude in the yellow that's about to get stabbed.
Well, that's Julius Caesar. This is the assassination of
I'll be
Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar. That's pretty
I'm
cool.
like Cassius or something.
And
All right.
I'm not calling this a failure of Julius Caesar's, although it probably was down the line somewhere a failure
I
of
mean,
his.
if you get stabbed by the Senate,
right.
that's not usually
But
great.
this was actually, we're going to talk about the failure of the people that actually perpetrated this crime to bring about the change that they so desired. They thought in order to save the Republic that they needed to assassinate Caesar, and so they did. A group of senators called the Liberators planned to assassinate Caesar before he began his campaign against the Parthian Empire. They agreed to strike during the Senate meeting at Pompey Theater on March 15th. They were anti-imperialists, right? So they wanted the power to remain with the Senate. They didn't want to have this big, strong figurehead. Of course, Julius Caesar was exactly that.
He was a dictator.
And they thought that for the good of saving the Roman Republic, they had to kill him, and that would save the Senate. They thought that now, after they had done this, Rome was free, but they did not realize the popularity of Caesar. The masses rioted after his death, and his assassins had to flee the city. They were later granted amnesty, but the following year, when Caesar's sole heir Octavian declared them murderers and combined forces with Mark Antony, this started another civil war, which ended in Brutus and Cassius, the ringleaders of this assassination, being killed. And eventually, the triumvirate between Octavian and Mark Antony would fail, and Octavian would be victorious, becoming the first emperor of Rome. So they literally kind of set the stage for the rebellion that allowed an emperor to seize the kind of power they were trying to keep Caesar from getting.
They pretty much achieved the exact opposite of what they were going for.
Right. And so a political maneuver, which is what this killing was, make no bones about it. This wasn't it was a murder. I'm not going to try and disassociate from it.
But it was a murder that was it was to create a specific set of political conditions.
Right. This was a political act.
They thought by killing the leader of this part of the political party that Caesar represented that they would somehow create. Okay, look, now he's dead. There's no figurehead.
The message was, the people don't want an emperor, but the message of the people was different. The
actually did.
They did want an emperor. They mourned the death of Caesar.
They basically thought that Caesar was not going to be beloved. They were like, look. They saw themselves like they said they viewed themselves as liberating, and that the people were going to embrace them and say, yes, Caesar was horrible. Thank you. Now we're liberated. But it was the exact opposite.
Right. So definitely a political failure. Definitely a failure to maybe a failure to have your finger on the pulse of the people as well as you think you do.
Yeah.
What about William Henry Harrison's inaugural speech?
Oh God.
There's nothing a politician loves more than giving a speech, and sometimes it can be a mistake. So William Henry Harrison was inaugurated in 1841. His speech was overly long and boring. It's the longest inaugural speech in history, in fact, at 8,445 words.
That's about, if he read it about the same rate I would do a video. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think 1,000 words is usually about 10 minutes. So we're talking probably about an 84-minute speech.
Right. Over an hour. That's a lengthy speech for sure. You're closing on an hour and a half long.
Yeah, and if he spoke more deliberately, then probably we're talking about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, something like that.
Keep this in mind. He also delivered it outdoors on a sub-freezing afternoon, sans coat, hat, or gloves. So not only were people kind of captively held there, but it was also below freezing.
Looking like fucking frostbite listening to this boring ass speech, dude.
Exactly. He was no stranger to bad weather, having worked as a farmer and served as a soldier, but even so, the decision to brave the elements was a boneheaded one that would prove disastrous, as he soon developed pneumonia. Doctors tried the era's usual remedies, including bleeding the president with leeches and trying to draw out the disease with heated cups.
Another failure. Failure of medicine.
Yep. They also resorted to a Native American cure that involved live snakes.
Oh, okay.
But it was all in vain. Harrison died after just a month in office, making him the shortest-serving president in United States history.
His speech was long, but his term was short.
Yeah, a failure in speech planning. some medical failures along the way, and what do you got?
A failure to dress appropriately. If
A
he'd
failed presidency.
I mean, if he had fucking worn a coat or something, man, put some gloves on,
Yeah, put
dude.
some hat on. Put a hat on to trap that heat up there. Put some gloves on your hands.
Have the speech inside. Something.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah, and maybe just don't do an hour-and-a-half speech.
Yeah, keep it brief. 'Cause
Just get
it's
up
cold.
there and be like, "I'm the president, bitches. What now? What now? See ya."
Yeah,
Or like even if
Peace.
you do, even if you're planning to do a long, boring speech, maybe when you realize, okay, it's sub-freezing out, maybe I should shorten this like tremendously.
Well, he probably did. He probably cut like maybe 3,000 words off for that.
I don't think he did.
Of course, I don't think he did either.
How about another political failure? This is Atahualpa.
Atahualpa.
Depicted by contemporary chroniclers as a brave, ambitious, and extremely popular army leader, Atahualpa was soon embroiled in a civil war with his older half-brother for control of the empire. This is
Which empire are we talking about?
the Incan Empire.
Okay.
The war ravaged Incan cities, wreaked havoc on the economy, and decimated the population. Early in 1532, near Cusco, Atahualpa's army defeated the army of Huascar in what was probably the greatest military engagement in Inca history. Huascar and his family were captured and later executed under Atahualpa's orders. So he's successful in this civil war, riding high, charismatic leader. He's enjoying the hot springs near the small Inca town of Cajamarca, preparatory to entering Cusco in triumph, when a Spanish conquistador named Pizarro entered the city with a force of about 180 men. On November 15th, 1532, Pizarro and Atahualpa met in what was to prove one of the most fateful encounters in the New World. Invited by the Spaniard to attend a feast in his honor, the Inca chief accepted. The next day, he arrived at the appointed meeting place. You can go to another. I think I pulled a couple pictures of this dude. Just kind of interesting depictions of him. He arrived at the meeting place with several thousand unarmed retainers. Pizarro, prompted by the example of Hernan Cortez and Montezuma in Mexico, had prepared an ambush. So Atahualpa rejected demands by the friar Vicente de Valverde, who had accompanied Pizarro, that he accept the Christian faith and sovereignty of Charles V of Spain, whereupon Pizarro signaled his men, firing their cannons and guns, charging with their horses, all of which were unknown to the Inca. The conquistadors captured Atahualpa, slaughtered thousands of his men. Perceiving the avarice of his captors, Atahualpa offered to fill a room with gold as a ransom for his release. Pizarro accepted the offer, and from out the empire, the Incas brought gold and silver statues, jewelry, and art objects. The Spaniards had the Indians melted all down into bullion and ingots, accumulating 24 tons of gold and silver.
Dude.
Literally the richest ransom ever received. Once the full amount was required, the conquistadores ordered Atahualpa was burned to death. So they literally took him up on his offer. He filled a room with gold, gave him tons of gold, and then they just burned him. So he was at the stake. De Valverde offered him the choice of being burned alive or dying by the more merciful Garrote if he became a Christian. Oh, they didn't burn him. Atahualpa, who had resisted proselytization throughout his captivity, agreed to the conversion and so died that day by strangulation. So he literally was like, okay, I'm a Catholic, whatever, just choke me instead of burning me, please. And that's what they did. And he was the last emperor of the Incan Empire, and it was the end of the empire because of he went to a feast with a foreign power that was like, oh, let us honor you, great king, and had no foresight to bring any armed soldiers with him.
Maybe they're lying.
Trusting white people failure.
Oh, shit. Here we go. SJWTJ in the house.
Dude. Well, I mean,
yeah, in this
the
case,
track record is not impressive.
Dude,
so.
Dusty finally got to you, dude.
Yeah, Dusty finally converted me.
Cool, man.
So I thought we'd, kind of wrap things up today by having a little talk about Schadenfreude.
Which is something we've all experienced numerous times during this episode.
Of course, yeah. We've all laughed at other people's misfortunes multiple times in this episode. And it's a phenomenon that's pretty widespread and pretty misunderstood, I think, in humanity. Although there really aren't any answers out there, like hard psychological answers. There's some, kind of implications that we can talk about. So the emotion of pleasure in others' misfortune, Schadenfreude in German, is generally regarded as morally evil. It's often considered to be less acceptable than envy, which is regarded as a deadly sin. It would appear to be morally more perverse to be pleased with another person's misfortune than to be displeased with another person's good fortune. Indeed, Arthur Schopenhauer argues that to feel envy is human, but to enjoy other people's misfortune is diabolical.
Well,
Then
I
we
think-
live in dude. Then honestly, we live in the most fucking diabolical
yes, we do.
societies you can imagine. Like, look at Fail Army. Look at dude. Look at fail compilations. They have like 50 million views. We love to watch people fuck up, and especially when they hurt themselves. Like,
Oh, for sure.
If you fucking fall and bust your ass, especially if you're doing something stupid, there's millions of people who are gonna fucking laugh their asses off on and have already on the internet, dude.
So in describing pleasure in others' misfortune, two features are not disputable: our pleasure and the other's misfortune. These features describe a significant conflict between our positive evaluation of the situation and the negative evaluation of the other person. This conflict indicates the presence of a comparative and sometimes even a competitive concern. A major reason for being pleased with the misfortune of another person is this person's misfortune may somehow benefit us. It may, for example, emphasize our own superiority.
I
an
would
idiot.
never have crashed that ship into that other ship. That guy's a moron.
Right.
Which he probably. I mean, he was holding the rank of admiral. He probably
dude,
made some good decisions somewhere along the
If
line.
you fucking see shit like people fucking driving their fucking 4-wheeler into their truck or just like flipping look, how about the fucking...
I mean, you don't gotta tell me.
But I mean, take it one step further. A lot of those people love to do like parkour and shit, and like they do these crazy stunts on tops of buildings. And of course, we all read at least a couple times a year like this guy
Somebody
who was,
falls to their death.
yeah, someone falls to their death, or people taking selfies and they're like, oh, I'm on a cliff, I'm gonna take a selfie, and they fall to their death or
Right.
are severely injured.
Now, if this happened to somebody we knew, we'd all be fucking tragically
Oh, it's horrible.
busted up by it. But because it's removed from us, it triggers a different kind of center in our brain.
Yeah, it'd be like if Stevie died in a crazy stunt. We'd be
Stevie
all like, no,
Yes,
but.
Stevie died in a selfie
if
accident.
nobody-
If you remove the association a few levels, and it's like
What
you're about
an
this
idiot.
fat moron that tried
Yeah.
to stunt and died.
Yeah, some other show that doesn't know about
that-
Steve would be like, redneck in Louisiana lights himself on fire trying to breathe fire like a dragon. Like, what?
Dude, how many times have we done flash ride stories like the 700-pound man becomes chair? You know what
Sure.
I mean? It's just
Right.
shit like we're like, what an idiot. But it was Stevie. We'd be like, oh damn, Stevie died that way.
This whole show tonight basically was it. With a couple of maybe exceptions. We didn't really laugh much at a couple of the things, but some of them, pretty much anytime there was somebody that failed spectacularly, we were there to be this guy on the right, pointing and laughing.
Ha ha ha!
You know what I mean? So it's
You
definitely
fell down.
a very, but it's not just that one area that we might benefit from this kind of ego boost. There's a couple of other characteristics as well. One of them is that the other person is perceived to deserve their misfortune. So it's not even like a personal, like, I feel better because they did this. Now it's like, they did this and they deserve to fucking get hurt.
I can see that because a lot of times you watch those types of videos and see that kind of stuff. You're like, what an idiot! Why was he jumping off the fucking roof to begin with?
I mean, an even less extreme example of that we've all experienced, that we can all relate to, is seeing somebody blow by you on the freeway and then immediately a cop pulls them over.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? This is, our assessment of the situation is, ha, you motherfucker, you deserve that. But we don't know what the situation is on the ground, why he was speeding. We don't know.
Dude, maybe he's speeding because he has a fucking boil that's just about to burst on his fucking
Yeah, maybe his
butthole.
wife's pregnant. I mean, you don't know. But we all have done that. We've all had watch somebody get pulled over and had that immediately like, yeah, it's better you than me, asswipe. You
That's
dumb shit.
that's kind of the way of the world, though. It's always kind of boils down to better you than me.
And then there's another factor, too, that seems to affect people's ability to feel.
What's going on?
Whoa,
Synth
Jesus
pop,
Christ.
dude.
There's another factor that seems to interfere in people's ability to deal or to feel this kind of joy at other people's misfortune, and that's that they are passive in generating it. So if you feel like, well, I had nothing to do with that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, then it can give you kind of that enough barrier to be able to go, I feel good because I told you so. It's kind of the I told you so Schadenfreude.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
I
like,
told you so stuff is fun.
right, and that's a different aspect of it. So it's an interesting thing. Now, how do you guys feel about this? Do you think that this is destructive to us as a species to engage in this kind of like, I guess, othering, as you would call it, of people just because we're kind of at arm's length from them?
I think it's just a feature of humanity. I don't know how.
Right, I understand that. I mean, I mean,
as far as
I'm
whether
not-
it's destructive or not, I feel like probably like most things, the answer is probably really complicated. There's probably a reason why it's around. And, like you said, that competitiveness, maybe there's some value in. Maybe it's another admonition of like, hey, this guy's mistakes are horrible, and I find them amusing, but also maybe it's the funniness of it to you or the novelty of it to you.
A lot of times
it's helping you learn that lesson of like, don't do that. Yeah.
But a lot of times the mistakes these people make it's not like, oh, this could have happened to anyone. It's like they're making very obvious mistakes where people have like, I think you can feel superior. It gives you a sense of superiority that like, I would never fucking shoot a gun in my house. I would never fucking try to do this ridiculous stunt or whatever. I wouldn't. I'm above that. I'm superior because I would see the flaw in that based on my life experience. And not make those mistakes.
I mean, maybe it's good to cultivate that attitude, but I mean, then again, I think a lot of the times when these people get in trouble, a lot of the decisions we've seen is that people maybe feel a little too superior to the point where they feel like they can get away with the stupid shit because they're so smart that they can pull it off.
Well, see, but here's
I can pull off this crazy shit maneuver.
On the small scale, though, all that does is end in a rationalization by the person. And we've all done that, too. We've all been the dude that was speeding that got pulled over. And we know that people that were blowing by us, watching us fucking talk to the cop, were feeling that same sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's always a rationalization when we get pulled over. Oh, dumb pig was just trying to fill a quota or, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's really the more common. Most people don't go like, well, this guy got away with murder, so can I. It's the more like limited social engagements that we really, really see this happening in a widespread way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where people are capable of doing something that they will ridicule in other people and rationalizing it away.
Yeah.
Of course. And that's human nature. I mean, if you did it, there's obviously a good reason why you did this thing.
Right.
And you can justify anything.
Of course. So I thought we could end with maybe, if you guys want, no fucking forcing in this, but if you could talk about your own personal greatest failure, if you've got
failure.
one.
Shit.
Yeah, if you have something in your life that you feel that you failed at the hardest. I thought I'd comb your brains a little bit here at the end.
I mean, everyone's got tons of failures under
of
their
course.
belt.
Is there one that haunts you more than the others? Is there one that you visit often and go back, man, I should have done this or I could have done that?
I've always been a person who tries to avoid going down the path of regrets.
Sure. It's a healthy thing, too, because there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, my attitude's always been like, I can't really change the past. I mean, there's definitely been times when it's like, oh, man, I really should have done this or I really should have done that.
Sure.
But, I mean, I'll tell you, it's probably not in the grand scheme of things the largest failure.
It doesn't matter. It's
but
your
to me,
personal.
It's the failure that most continuously bothers me, even though because it's basically just like a failure of just absolute stupidity. And I've told it before, but I'll talk about it again. So I was working at my dad's office late one night.
Oh, I know what this is.
Oh yeah.
I was there all by myself. And I was just doing, I don't remember what it was.
All
doing.
alone. You weren't working. Let's put it that way. Your ass wasn't working.
I mean, if I was there, I was there to do something. I don't remember what exactly it was. But
Dude, were you installing that software for that stupid system?
I might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been something like that. Who knows? Doesn't really matter.
So you're just working late.
But I was working late.
He wasn't working though.
Okay, so Scotty contends with the working.
Well, I don't remember specifically.
You were
He was
depending
there.
on
you
what
were
kind
fucking off late.
I mean, depending on what kind of debt. I mean, like you couldn't fuck off all the time because stuff.
Not
was
all the
expected.
time.
All right, TJ.
Stuff
look,
was expected
let
to be
me
done.
say something, dude.
so-
TJ, I remember you did that job. It was the most like you would literally act like you were fixing the computer every day, so you'd go to sleep under your desk.
Right. But still, there had to be some
Did you
stuff.
actually wait a minute? Hold on, you can't just float that.
Okay.
Did you literally go like, I'm gonna go fix the computer and then nap under your desk?
Yeah,
Dude, nothing you have to say has any merit. You didn't work.
I did.
If you could get away with that, you weren't working.
TJ worked in a server room despite the fact that TJ knows nothing about servers.
I don't know. Yeah, to this day, I don't.
It was like the most bullshit nepotism job ever. It was like, TJ's a computer
Dude,
tech
this
or
story
something.
is a failure. You're right, TJ. There's a failure.
No, I consider that all a success.
Oh, that's well.
Yeah.
I guess from a certain standpoint.
From the standpoint of me, I consider it. But here's what I consider a failure. So I was there working late one night or
working.
whatever the fuck.
sleeping.
I mean, there's no point in sleeping under the desk when everyone's already there. It doesn't matter.
Wasn't it cozy under there though?
Maybe. Anyway, so I reached my hand down in my pants and kind of did a ball check.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys do that, but
Yeah, every once in a while you got to check
you
the
just,
boys.
like let's see how this is going and
Oh, you sniffed.
yeah, I was like
You got some vinegar smell on your nuts.
Oh no, it was beyond that. This was like, wow. Do I need to see a doctor?
Just like Famunda cheese.
Yeah, it was like something's wrong here.
Ugh.
I need to solve this. So I went to the bathroom, and I'm like, how can I solve this? And like a normal
Wash your
person,
junk.
a normal person probably would be like, I will wash my balls in the sink with some soap.
No, I think a normal person
Or
would be like,
something.
I'm going to go home and take the longest fucking shower
Well,
I've
I
ever
wanted to
taken.
do something to remedy it right then and there, but
It was so bad that you felt
Yeah.
you needed immediate.
right, there had to be
Attention.
something done, at least preliminarily.
Some very brief backstory. TJ did not like to bathe at all. Like when
Right.
TJ would take a shower, like I don't know, like he probably doesn't realize this, but like
It's that time of the month again.
We couldn't even go in the bathroom because like all the oils and shit that came off TJ, like it just stunk to high heaven every time TJ took a shower, dude.
Yes. So this was some prodigious ball stink. Then.
So this was so bad that even I was like, whoa.
yeah,
There's
over the top.
Some problems here. But I go in there and I see sitting on the toilet some Lysol. Oh no. I'm like, Lysol. That deals with odors, right?
Oh my god, no, dude.
So I fucking just like spray my balls with Lysol, dude.
Terrible idea.
He chose poorly.
And then I sat there for a second. I'm like, and before the sting began, I kind of had a moment of realization, like, wait a minute.
This was dumb.
I shouldn't have done this. And then, before I even completed that thought, the pain set in. And basically, it went from like my balls stink to my balls are on fire.
Yeah.
And at that point, I don't know. I guess the stink was not a concern anymore. So
Yeah. No shit.
At
So
that-
you solved the problem.
at
though.
that point, though, I did end up washing my balls. So
In the sink.
yeah,
Yeah.
but to try to get the Lysol off of them.
So you succeeded in cleaning them, but where your
You
failure was.
failed
Now, I
in your
don't-
attempt to avoid cleaning them.
Right. I don't know. I don't know ultimately what I ended up doing to fix the ball stink situation, but or if it even needed further addressing after that, because maybe the Lysol did its
Yeah,
job.
I hurt
you know?
my balls one time too, dude.
Oh yeah.
What'd you do?
I was making some tacos and I cut
How
off
the
a
fuck
bunch.
you hurt your balls making tacos?
Well, just listen to the fucking story.
All right.
I hurt my fucking balls making tacos, dude. So I'm like,
I'm never having tacos at your house
so
again.
let me
by the way.
explain what happened. Whoa.
If your balls are involved in the cooking of your tacos.
They were not involved in the
Okay,
Just
all right.
look before
So
you
I'm
start the
chopping-
tacos. Got to do a
So
lucky ball
look,
drag.
you're chopping up habaneros, you're chopping up jalapenos, you're chopping up all the stuff.
Right. You got the hot
And then
stuff.
I'm like, after I'm doing that, I'm not wearing gloves. I'm like, man, I really gotta fucking take a piss.
Oh man.
So I go fucking take a piss. Like, obviously you pull your dick out and all that stuff, and you're like, all right. Like I had to scratch my balls. But I gotta scratch my balls too and stuff. So like I go back to the kitchen. I'm like, I feel fine. Within about 5 minutes, the fucking tip of my dick and my balls are just on fire. Like, oh, what the fuck is going on? And it was just like fucking a searing pain. And I'm like literally like, okay, I'm like going and fucking Googling and shit. I'm like, I tried to wash my balls, but at that point it wasn't working. It was like, nope. I'm like, what can I do? I'm like, I took some mayonnaise and shit. I'm like, well, this will fucking deal with the heat. I'm trying every fucking remedy I can think of.
Should have just went and fucked.
Wait a minute.
Pussy's the only
Wait,
cure
hold
to
up.
hot dick.
Hold up.
Dude, I fucking tried every.
Wait, hold
fucking
up.
thing.
So you
I put mayonnaise on my
put
dick. dude.
mayonnaise on your cock to fucking try to stop the habanero.
So I
burn?
read that like dairy products would fucking help.
Dude, he made it.
It kind of did help a little bit.
He made a Scotty bratwurst with sauerkraut, dude.
Fuck, dude.
Wow.
I had to fucking do it, dude. I'm telling you, if your dick was on fire, you'd pretty much try anything to fucking solve the problem. Trust
Yeah.
me. You laugh now, but if you're ever dumb enough to
But,
fuck
okay,
grab
so
your
that's a
junk,
similar story to mine. But is that your biggest fail though?
that's not my biggest fail. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, probably related to you is my biggest failure. If you want to be perfectly honest, dude.
How about you, Paul? You got one?
Yeah, I got one. When I was real young, kind of like you guys, like it's a young one that sticks with me. It really like the pain of it and just the experience of it is real super memorable. My dad, we got a goat, and the goat liked to escape his pen and go wandering around on the streets and shit. So my dad put up some electric fencing. And he took me and my little sister, who was very young at the time, and showed us, he put a stick to it and it made a little spark. And he's like, you don't want to touch this. It'll zap you. It's hot like the stove, don't touch it. But my mind, the gears were like. So I had this theory, and it was really just a scientific failure, honestly. I had a theory that because when I peed, the pee was coming out of my dick, that it would like the electricity wouldn't be able to travel back up the stream of my because the the motion.
I notice all of our failures involve genitals. But.
Yeah, it's true. So anyway, obviously I was wrong. I went outside one day being a country boy, and I went around the backside of the fence, and I found a good spot, and pulled out my dick, and I pissed on it, and it literally electrified my balls. I remember having the most searing pain in my nuts because like a lightning bolt went up my dick, and all throughout that whole organ system, all up into my kidneys and down into my balls,
dude.
anything that's connected to that. You know what I mean? It's like the root of your fucking body. It's the worst place to get shocked, dude. Don't ever tase your balls. I'm just letting you know, because pissing on an electrical fence, and that was just, it's a scientific failure. And, the minds of great men are filled with the failures of lesser men. So I was just one of those lesser
the
men.
Speed of electricity, dude.
One of many men. I'm not the only one that's tested the old piss on an electric fence theory.
Now, there might have been a way to do it. If you'd peed a little bit and stopped, maybe you could have done it.
Yeah, if I'd have peed and then stopped the stream while it was still in the air before it hit the, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so there wasn't a circuit, but I did not do that. I pissed right on the electric fence.
Wow.
It was not a good thing.
Dude, you had like a movie failure moment, because that's like some shit you would see in a movie. The kid's like, I'm gonna pee on the fence.
Immediately when my dad showed it to me, it was the first thing I thought. I was like, I want to pee on it.
How old were you?
I don't know. I was probably like 7, I'd say.
Yeah,
6.
that's
somewhere
like
around there.
the appropriate mentality.
Yeah,
Like,
first grade, something like that.
boy, this fence electrified. I want to piss on it.
I gotta pee on that. Can't wait to piss on that.
Well, because you kind of at that point have a conceptual, like you probably I was gonna see some cool.
yeah, I
sparks
thought it
and
was gonna
shit.
make a bunch of sparks and shit, and I was gonna be able to
Yeah.
like zoom like a lightsaber or some shit. No.
Yeah, your whole day's planned, your calendar's booked. It's like, man, I'm gonna go tomorrow. I'm gonna go piss on the fence. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna have this fucking lifelong kind of like fun, friendship with the fence. Gonna have big anthropomorph size. Paul, pee on me today.
Terrible idea.
Yep.
So that's failure,
dude,
I
it's
guess.
like-
That's
Yeah.
Mythbusters also did the whole pee on an electric fence.
Oh, did they?
Oh shit.
Did they also shock their balls?
Oh yeah, they found that because the fence is higher off the ground than a train track, urine won't have the time to separate into droplets, and the
fuck.
current can travel up the stream.
So if someone's calling bullshit on Paul's story, dude, Mythbusters already fucking backs him
already.
up.
I couldn't make
Dude,
it up.
that was coming in the comments.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
bullshit.
I'll never forget that pain either. It was tough. It was nasty.
We can look at videos of people peeing on electric
Dude,
fence.
let's do it. Yeah,
Poor
man.
guys.
Let's fucking traumatize Paul a little bit.
So this is a guy.
Man, you're really gonna
Oh my god,
piss.
that's like a government electric
Oh,
fence.
dude, and it's
too.
fucking cold, dude. Oh, don't do it, bro.
Gotta
Dude, they-
piss on this.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, they literally just killed themselves doing it.
No, that guy's still
I guess
alive.
he's okay.
What the fuck, dude?
Literally,
they're both
like,
still alive. I don't think that the.
knocked him over and they pissed all over themselves, I'm sure.
Yep.
What a pair of fucking morons. Well, I guess I can't. At least I was 6.
Yeah, at least you were
Yeah.
a little kid.
You know what I mean?
That guy just got out of a fucking vehicle. He's probably at least 25, 30 years old.
I doubt that the goat fence had that kind of a current going on it, but I don't remember like being paralyzed by it. But I remember like
Are there any
searing
fucking
pain.
P videos where we can see reactions, TJ?
What?
Like when we see the person like going, like on the ground in pain, anything like that.
I don't know. I'd have to search for that. Let me see.
Most people know better than to do this.
Well, I mean,
Let's
yeah.
see. Peed on
But
electric.
you could see why someone would think it was
fence.
like an urban legend. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
can pee on it. I mean, what's it going to do? The piss is coming out of you. It's not going to do anything.
Here's some dudes peeing on it on purpose.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But,
that's those other dudes did too.
10 dogs shocked by. Okay, so dogs pee on them sometimes.
All right. Well, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't-
They don't know any better.
Yeah. They don't
Idiot
deserve-
girl touches electric fence.
Nah.
I mean, that's just even more retarded.
Dudeson's peeing on electric fence. Yeah, there's a lot of there's some pee on electric fence content out there, but none of it looks too quality.
All right, well, fair
Well,
enough.
if you're hungry to prove my theory of,
It looks like there's some chick about to
there's
put her
some
butt
stuff.
on an electric fence. So there you go.
Hey, nice.
You can watch
new
that.
fetish maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean,
Electrifying the booty.
105,000 people have watched it, so
Huh?
maybe
105,000 people
let's see
can't
if
be
any
wrong.
of the let's see if any of the people fap to it. Damn, I need to meet her. Okay.
Whoa.
well,
yeah.
60 dis-
He definitely fapped. to it.
R.I.P. bubble butt. I see cheeks. I click. This video was worth the wait. I wonder if let's see, teen and 7 are numbers. What?
Dude, let's just
stand in her bare
let's just
feet
go to
and she'll
fucking
get
Reddit right
some
now.
shock.
Let's just go to Reddit right now and like electrified booty. Yeah, we
Electric
started-
booty.
Oh yeah, we could start our own fetish like
Yeah,
the
dude. Let's
yellow
fucking
leg
start our
guy.
fetish, dude. TJ, go ahead and get on that, man.
All right, I'll start the electro booty subreddit.
Electro booty.
I mean, there's a bunch of guys.
Well, it looks
in the
like there's
market.
already an electro booty. I mean, I don't think it's actually.
it's not electrified.
It's
is
not
it?
that. It's not that though.
Yeah, that has to be the name though.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, like, let's see if there's a Reddit name.
What
then.
about electro rump?
Hold on.
Electro rump.
Well, let's just see if there's a Reddit for it.
Okay.
Reddit.com. Let's see.
So, I mean, I think we all need to start our own fetish.
Electro
here, guys.
booty.
Yep.
Does
Yeah,
it
there's
exist?
there's no community for electro booty. So
Oh, you got to start it.
yeah, I'll go start
And then
that.
and then post that video as the one and only post in there.
Well, I don't even know if the video is even hot or not. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because
It doesn't matter. It's electro booty, dude.
Well, look, guys, we're gonna spawn a generation of electrified booties. So
Dude,
it
are you a
doesn't matter.
pretender, TJ? What do you mean some of the videos aren't? What if it's not that hot? Dude,
I don't
just
know.
the fact of a booty
Her
being
butt might
electrified
not-
is what gets my fucking rocks off.
Her
dude.
butt might not be that good. Okay, so let's.
Dude,
see.
it doesn't matter. It's a booty. If it's getting
Okay.
shocked, it doesn't matter, dude.
All right, so she puts
It's
her
hot.
butt out and she's gonna touch the electric fence with it, I guess.
Why are you describing this? Why can't we see it?
Well, it was age restricted, so
Oh,
I figure
okay.
we better not show it.
Stupid YouTube.
So she's got her big butt hanging out, and she's gonna fucking put it on the fence or what? Come on.
She's just showing
on the
off.
fence.
Dude, that's not why people are here. They're here for the butt.
Yeah, well, you can't even really see her ass very much. It's like a side view, so you see about as much as if she was wearing.
Well,
fucking,
when we
oh
start-
shit!
Damn.
Well, you kind of see it there.
She like jumped off.
She
the fence.
touches it, and then she basically falls
Yeah.
down, and then
Nice.
yeah,
Well, good for her. She's learned.
and oh man, did she fall in a piece of cow shit? Oh, she fell face first into fucking cow shit, dude.
Gross.
Dude,
Wow.
I'll tell you what.
There's cow shit all
This
over
is
her
definitely
fucking
fetish
shit.
Shit, dude,
material.
a fucking shit fetish and an electrified ass fetish, dude.
You got
Yeah.
double fetish.
Dude, we're gonna fucking
Dude, make the
we're gonna
subreddit.
make
All
bank.
right. Okay,
shit-
so wait, we got to chart electro fall into shit.
No, it's shit face electro booty.
Shit face electro booty fetish.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a woman getting her butt electrified and then having her face in shit
Well,
right
what if,
afterwards.
What if she could? What
Shit
if, we
face
don't,
electro
what if we don't
booty.
limit it to shit? Because I don't really like shit. But what if it could be? It
I
could
don't
be
care
shit.
what you don't like, TJ.
Well, hold on. But
My
this-
dick is hard right now. For
I know, but like
shit face electro booty.
It could be all kinds of stuff down there.
What do you mean?
Like
just
maybe-
falling into stuff?
Yeah, like it could be like a chocolate cake, or it could be.
Oh, dude, it could be a mystery.
It
You
could
never-
be another
shit.
woman's
Dude,
ass.
It could be a
you
mystery.
know,
You
she
never,
falls face first.
You never know what they're gonna fall into, dude.
Yeah.
The unknown.
Maybe there's like a mystery box and you
Oh,
never know what's
okay.
in it. Could be something nice, could
Yeah.
be something bad.
I like that.
The mystery box electro booty fence fetish.
How the fuck
thing.
did we get here?
I don't know.
Yikes.
I don't
what
know.
the fuck is happening?
I don't know, dude.
I'm
Dude,
just
we're
like,
we're
what?
starting a new fetish, dude.
What are we doing?
It's happening.
Well, you told your electric fence story about
Right.
peeing on one, and then somehow we talked about peeing on electric fences, and then we found a video of this chick, and then that's where we are now.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So that's how we got here.
Thanks for the help.
Yeah, that was a little recap.
That's failure.
Yeah, it is.
Was that a
I
failure
hope
of
the
a show?
No, I think the show was actually pretty good. I think the show was a success.
I think a lot of times we failed to stay on topic.
So we
guys.
succeeded at covering failure.
Yes.
Don't you think it would have been better and more in keeping with the theme of the show if we had failed at
should've-
making a good show?
Well, maybe we should make a show about success and then intentionally fail.
oh,
at
yeah.
Success.
So that they can have a contrast.
Yeah.
Success is not this. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's
maybe.
actually smart.
Maybe we'll see.
Well, if one of you guys wants to take up the mantle of success, I leave you to it.
I don't think Scotty's willing to take on the mantle of success.
You know, I live in the world of failure, and trust me, I left a lot on the table here. We could go back to failure.
Oh, there's a
again.
ton. I mean, like we could almost do this. We could do a show that's just called like Great Fails of History and
Yeah.
fucking do this every fucking
Of
week
course
if
we
we
could.
wanted to. But
So we could definitely revisit this at some point in the future. But I hope people enjoyed. Thanks for being a patron.
Bye bye.
See you next time. Bye.